Okay.
Welcome to Launceston Arena for the Bupa TSL preliminary final. It is Lauderdale versus Launceston on a pristine sunny day down here in the state south. It's the duel for a spot in the big dance to take on North Launceston next week. It's going to be an absolute cracker. I'm Damien Gill, bringing this one live to you. Alongside me is Chris Rowbottom and Cam Brown. Afternoon, gents.
Yeah, g'day, Gilly. Pumped for this one, prelim final. It doesn't get too much bigger than this, especially for both of these teams. Lauderdale, of course, looking for their third straight grand final appearance against North Launceston. Launceston looking to make a return to the big dance for the first time in a few years. And we were just talking off air. It's hard to split these two teams. We know that they both love contested footy. They've got some big bulls running through the middle of the ground. They've got thick and strong players, and I just feel that whoever can maybe get it on the outside and use the run and put the pace on the game better will go a long way towards winning this game and setting themselves up for a grand final berth against the almighty North Launceston next week. But really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day for footy, boys, driving here. The sun's out. September finals action, and as you mentioned, Ro, no better prize to win today to get a spot and an opportunity to play in the TSL Grand Final next week against North Launceston. If we have a look at the form line, boys, from last week, Launceston really strong, weren't they? 10-goal winners over Glenorchy in what was pretty ordinary conditions, but they were dominant, particularly after quarter time. And from a Lauderdale perspective, unfortunately went down by about 6 goals. So to North Launceston away. So interesting. We know essentially in some ways a home ground advantage, albeit in the south of the state for Lauderdale. Does that have any impact? We know Launceston, they don't mind travelling. And to me, they're the informed team coming into this game. And we'll probably get to our selection shortly. But just some concerns for me, boys, about Lauderdale and their goal kickers. I think they only had 4 goal kickers last week. I really think Ben McGuinness could be the wild card for them today. I think he's got to kick multiple goals for them to win.
As a special treat, prelim final, the business end of things, we've got Anthony Osborne down on the boundary. G'day, Anthony.
G'day, guys. Yeah, great to be here. Big day for these two sides, as you pointed out. Really big clash, big prize on the line. As you've mentioned, just trying to get myself in a spot where you can actually pick me up, but a bit of breeze coming basically from the east to the west, so just basically going into your faces up there on the broadcast side of the ground. But we do know down here at Launceston it can be pretty blustery, so keep an eye on that as the day unfolds and see if it has an impact on the contest.
Thanks, Anthony. We'll check in with you across the afternoon. Let's take a look at the two teams. As you said, Chris Rowbottom, it's a really difficult matchup to sort of have an absolute obvious, I guess, favourite for. Some people leaning the way of Launceston just given form, but geez, they match up well, I reckon, these two teams.
They absolutely do, and touched on it just before. The battle of the midfield is what I'm really looking forward to, and you see some of the names through there for Lauderdale. Bell Chambers, he's a beast. Bryce Walsh, we know about him. Nat Franklin goes through there and throws his weight around a little bit as well. So I'm really looking forward to that wrecking ball contest that we'll see unfold against the heavy hitters of Launceston. I'm also looking forward to seeing who young Ed Trupp goes to this afternoon. Which Launceston forward will he get the task on? Will it be Mitch Thorpe, who kicked 46 goals, I think it was, for the season, or will it be Dylan Riley, who's one of the form forwards of the competition, kicked 6 last week? against Glenorchy in the dripping wet. So that'll be a really interesting decision from the coaching side of things as to who Trupp goes to. And then you, of course, get Josh McGuinness injected into this team, who, pound for pound, is probably Lauderdale's best player or most important player. Makes a huge difference to how they set up, how they rebound off or out of defensive 50. Who goes to him from a Launceston point of view is really interesting as well.
Yeah, I thought, good summary. I think Trump probably might go to Riley. If you watch him last week, a lot of his goals were at ground level, weren't they? So that might be the matchup. Alex Hill traditionally does go to Mitch Thorpe, Gilly, so we'll see what happens there. But I agree with you, really good inclusions. Josh McGuinness, I think Mitch Anderton's an important player back after that week of suspension. If he can run and carry the footy, that'll be pivotal. I'd like to see Gilby play close to goal from a Lauderdale perspective. And we've mentioned Ben McGuinness. Have a look at the half-back line there, boys. The McGuinness family will be proud of that.
And Ben McGuinness welcomed a new arrival during the week. So he's a dad, and as you said, Brownie, he'd be a key figure today. We've seen him light up finals in previous years. He hasn't really got going so far in this final series, but when you use the word wildcard, I thought that was very nicely put, because that is Ben McGuinness in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I just think if he can get some supply, he plays with great energy, and he has the ability to energise those around him. So I think he'll be a pivotal player in this game. I think Bryce Walsh, if he can be a goal kicker going forward as well, that will help them in terms of kicking a winning score today as well.
One late change, Rowie, from the team named. My boy, Jeremiah Perkins, I'm a bit flat about that. The Bullfrog out of the side. In comes Tyler Martin, a player we haven't seen in the best 22 too often this season for Lauderdale. He played a bit of footy last year, a soccer convert, silky sort of skillful type around goal. Interesting to sort of just play that card in a prelim final. A big move from Darren Winter. Interesting to see what he brings to the setup.
Yeah, I must confess I don't know much about young Martin, but you're right, he'd be the butterflies would be fluttering around in his belly at the moment, coming in for a big prelim. It's a huge stage to make your way back into the 22 at the expense of a pretty good player in Perkins. Not sure if he's injured or if it's a matchups-based late decision. I'm not too sure, but yeah, really interested to see how he goes this afternoon as well, young Martin.
Yes, so that is the Lauderdale lineup, pretty strong across the board. Let's take a look at Launceston. As we talked about before, when referring to a few of those bulls for Lauderdale, it is bull v bull today, and Launceston have a few of the very best, namely when you look at Tim Bristow, who's been in sensational form, Joby Harper, probably one of the best players in the entire comp, and Fletcher Seymour, who's been one of the stories of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and as we touched on as well, it's those three that are going to be doing the heavy lifting, but the conditions will play a part today, because last week we saw Launceston really work Glenorchy over, and those really big guys able to grind it out on the heavy track and in the wet. And it was a stoppage-based game. There was stoppage after stoppage after stoppage, and they were able to get on top and grind out the win that way. It's a far different day today. The sun is shining. It's going to be a slick Bell Reeve sort of surface, and as I sort of touched on a few minutes ago, I think whoever gets it onto the outside and whoever puts the pace on the game and uses that run and carry might go a long way towards winning this game. I think the midfields will probably break even. Whoever can get that outside run will probably have the leg up in this game. But really interesting. That back line is just so settled. Vandervelde, Tuthu was really good last week on Jay Bowden, I thought. Tyrrell was really solid too. And just contributors across the board. Really surprised as well to learn during the week that the average age of this team's only 21.5.
Yeah, they're very young, and I was just, when you were talking about the back line, thinking, I read an Examiner article this morning from Hamish Gill, terrific one, that Hodge, Boyd and Tuttle have played football together all the way from under nines all the way through. So there's serious chemistry amongst that back setup, and it's a bit of a makeshift backline, Brownie, but it's worked for them so far this season. But that is maybe the area where there's some fragility in this team.
No, and that's, we often say that, don't we? But certainly from the outside, externally, that potentially might be the weakness. We've spoken at length about that powerful midfield they do have and the different options to roll through there. And from the forward line, Blackberry, Thorpe, Riley, Wright can play a role, Gillow can push forward, and they've got goal kickers in their midfield. So, yeah, it's probably a little bit undersized, but Vandervelde plays a role each and every week for them, doesn't he? Hodge is getting better and better. And Tuttle, we've seen him play some really good footy, boys, haven't we, on superstar of the competition, and Jay Bowden. So they'll certainly go in with a lot of confidence in the back half.
Denellen back into the team, so that only helps them in terms of that inside battle. So he comes in for Lucas, who was, of course, concussed in that nasty incident. There was a bit of friendly fire, so that's the one change in this Launceston setup.
And I think the other interesting player for mine today too, Rose, he's probably about to get 4 or 5 games of footy behind him now, is Jared Dakin. He's just starting to roll into a bit of form. We know he's had his Mariners draft year, or I should say Devils draft year, cruelled by injury. So let's hope he can run into a bit of form today. And a nice dry track. We know he's a really smart player, good ball user, finds space and usually makes good decisions. So I think the conditions are well set up for him to have a pretty significant influence today.
I think that's spot on. I think it's going to be a player like that who's willing to bite off those dangerous kicks but hit the targets and really release runners and players through the middle of the ground that are going to have that big impact, as you say, because I just think that the two midfields are so solid that they're just going to bash and crash each other all day and break even, and then just look for whoever can get on top on the outside, and Dakin plays a big part in that for Launceston.
Alex Hill going to the bench for Lauderdale.
So is Jacob Gilby.
Yeah, that was interesting, and I think Matty McGuinness might even be there as well. We know it doesn't mean too much these days, but more just intrigued in some of the matchups. Lauderdale kicking to, the right of screen. And Ben McGuinness is going forward, so too Nick Baker by the look of it.
Sammy Siggins starting forward too, so...
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a
they've
good
played a
positive
few
move.
times this year. It's worked to good effect. Tail of the tape, Lauderdale got the chocolates when they've played them at home, but away at Windsor Park really got smashed by Launceston, which is when they really announced themselves as a flag smoky.
Trupp to Mitch Thorpe too, and the two left footers on each other, Jay Blackerby, Mitch Anderton with a job inside the forward 50 on him.
It looks like Phil Bellchambers back there as well. Interesting matchups all over the shop. As we bounce down and start this TSL prelim final, Smith down, Fletcher Seymour has it, but he also has Bryce Walsh on his back. The rinse and repeat to start this prelim final. Sun-drenched, Launceston Arena, lovely day for footy. Two great teams. Harper extracts it from the middle. Long driving ball looking for right. Josh McGuinness back in this team and settles in, but it's going to be a free kick against.
I'd have it in the back.
I thought he disguised it reasonably well, but the umpire disagrees. It's going to be an Alec Wright ball.
Underrated player, isn't he, Alec Wright? We've seen him play some really good roles for Launceston this year. He is a goal kicker.
So this kick will be every bit of 45. Angle not a trouble at all, straight in front. It might be an early assessment on the breeze as well. It's Wright. Kicks it just inside the paint of 50. Started right, came back very nicely through the middle. An opening goal inside seconds for Launceston.
Yeah, that's just the start you want. If you're the travelling team, get on the scoreboard early, just release a little bit of the nerves, and it came from a free kick. They'll be disappointed with that from a Lauderdale perspective, but it was a nice set shot for goal row and carried the distance okay. Perfect start for Lauderdale. Just interesting too, Jake Smith is picking up Ben McGuinness, so Ben McGuinness will have him a little bit for height if he can get an opportunity to run and catch at the footy.
That's a beautiful finish with your first touch of the game, isn't it, in the opening seconds when you're probably not quite warm yet. You go back and drill a goal from sort of 48 metres out. Great start, Launceston, who get the early win in this first term. 1 straight 6, the Blues. Lauderdale yet to score. They've only gone a couple of minutes. We are back in the middle as it just bounces around off feet. Smith goes in after it, wrapped up in a big tackle. Burge emerged with the footy. High ball inside 50. One-on-one contest. Really nice bit of paddling work done there. Just trying to work it forward. Walsh went in after the footy on hands and knees. Tried to shovel it out. Heavey working hard. Lauderdale unable to get a clean possession. Eventually it's scrubbed out by Harper in the Blackberry direction. He couldn't take the mark. Bombers trying to reload here. Bellchambers missed the footy. Seymour emerged with it and kick it into the middle of the ground. Foot race on here. Bounced over Thorpe's head. Landed with right. He's tackled. Big tackle. Holding the ball.
It's a great tackle. Lauderdale got to move. Get on the spread here.
So Eddie Trupp looks to spread it, just as Cam Brown says. He set Josh McGuinness an almighty task. He was up to it. He just gets the kick away. It was Raglione, rather. So it's now with Burge. He feeds back for Siggins. Just into the shin of Siggins there was Brown. The ball not coming out easy, and then it comes out via McManus. He's kicking in the McGuinness direction. Good work from Smith. Fed back, put himself in a bit of trouble though. The Blues now have a job to do. Squeezes out the back. A wrestle on top, and it'll be a forward half stoppage for the Lauderdale Bombers.
6 goals last week to Dylan Riley, boys, in that win over Glenorchy, and young Oscar Shaw's got the job on him today.
So up it goes again. Smith loses his footing. Leadham looks to race away with it. Just squeezes it out. It comes to Walsh. Flying shot from Walsh. Offline. A minor score.
Bombers on the board. Walsh registering their first score. It's a behind. They trail by 5. Goal early in this one. Smith with the kick in duties. He goes really, really wide. It's too wide. Out of bounds on the full. And we'll get our first look here at the inclusion in young Martin. He'll take the kick in. He'll look to, you'd think, put the footy into a dangerous position.
Wouldn't this be a wonderful arrival?
Wouldn't be a bad start after a late call-up into a big prelim. He did have a ping in the end, and maybe he shouldn't have because he misses to the near side. It's out of bounds on the full.
So Jake Smith again, hemmed in the back pocket. Kicking long down the line. The target is Bristow. Brings it down right now. Loses the footy. Good tackle from Sutton. It'll be thrown in. A beautiful day for footy here. Launceston with the early advantage, but Lauderdale have it in the right zone for them. Ball will be thrown in again. There's going to be good ruck duel all afternoon as well, boys, as Smith paddles down. Leadham now just tries to find a teammate. Bryce Walsh virtually threw it out. Came to Seymour. He lost the footy. Karen Newell got it to Walsh again. Saunders climbing on top. Coming through is Walsh again, just trying to barrel his way through congestion.
Already it's tough in the clinches, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Not a lot of time and space for the player in possession.
Your call on the outside is going to be a pretty good one, I think, Roe, is it comes to the outside. There's where Bristow is operating. Kicks towards right. Gathered by Reglione. Slaps it on the boot. A pokey ball looking for Heavey. He gathers it on the hop, but he runs out of time as Blackberry jumps on top of him. And he got away with one, I reckon, there, Heavey. I reckon he had prior.
So Launceston dropping one back in the hole from the stoppage. Looks like Casey Brown, that player.
Rucks go at it, straight down to Franklin, who gets a ball inside 50. Mark unable to be taken by Tuthill. Heavey emerges with it, gets it off to Siggins, who rolls it through for the Bombers first.
Yeah, neat finish, wasn't it? Well crumbed by Alex Heavey. Great call right now. There's going to be a free kick against Lauderdale after that goal, so it'll be at the centre bounce. Someone pushed Vanderveld over. Didn't quite see it, boys. But really smart handball from Heavey. Just worked his way through traffic.
As you said, Cam Brown, tidy finish. Made it look easier than it was, I reckon.
It was against Ben McGuinness.
Yeah, Ben McGuinness. Well, we know sometimes he can do things like that, Ben McGuinness.
This is where Lauderdale in big games get carried away sometimes, don't they?
They have a rap sheet that precedes them as Leadham brings it out of the middle. A long driving ball looking for Riley. Across in front of him was Bellchambers, who's operating off half back today, which is a move I wouldn't mind your thoughts on, Cam Brown.
Yeah, interesting one to see how that plays out.
I'm not sure he's a direct matchup as it stands, but he hasn't actually gone on ball just yet as the ball comes up again. It was Thorpe who got the hit out for Holt, spilt through his fingers. Trupp, a tumbling ball onto the wing. Siggins tackles Leadham, squeezes out to Seymour. He found Blackberry, who inadvertently found the opposite ruck in Smith. Off now for McGuinness. Neat user onto the centre wing. Fisted away. Blues with the numbers. Harper.
Great handball.
Fantastic handball to open things up. Holt goes in with a brave kick. Might be brought undone. Burge tapping for his lookalike in Walsh, who wraps a blue up in a good tackle, and he's going to be rewarded. So Walsh now will look to move this quickly, and he does. Plays on. He's looking in the direction of Saunders. Driving ball for Saunders. Has the sit. Down at the full. Saunders got the crumb. Flying shot. Not quite. Looking for McGuinness. Tries to keep it alive. Paddles it. Runs into the post. Good tackle from McGuinness. Keeps it in the right area of the ground for the Lauderdale Bombers.
Yeah, well done, Ben and McGuinness, just to keep that ball alive. Good contest and a follow-up tackle.
So the Bombers deep inside 50, looking for their second early doors in this one. Rucks go at it. Karen Ewan just patted it. Saunders emerges with it. Kick around the corner. Looks okay. It's just across the face. Little socket effort. Puts it straight up into the air. It's still alive here for Lauderdale as Siggins evades the tackler, has a shot on goal. And it's missing the behind post.
Looking dangerous though, Lauderdale, Brownie.
Yeah, and Siggins deep forward has worked pretty well for them so far. Looks lively. Involved early in a couple of contests.
So Smith will resume things for Launceston. Brings it in with a long ball down the line. McManus went early with the fly. Couldn't take the mark. Holt will get there first for Launceston, but will track it over the boundary line.
Anthony Osborne on the boundary. What's the wind doing for us down there, mate?
Yeah, still just blowing a little bit towards us on the broadcast side of the ground here, Gilly. It's still a little bit blustery, so we'll keep an eye on it. As you've seen with a couple of the kicks, a few are dropping a bit short, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Beautiful. Thanks, Anthony.
In it comes. Smith won it down only as far as Holt, though, for Launceston. He'll tumble Launceston towards 50. Gillow picked it up, shoveled it into a vacant 50. Green grass only in front of Trupp and his opponent in Killerley. He got their first good one-on-one battle. Launceston Cavalry arrives. They'll try and force it out to Blackberry. He was unable to gather it. It eventually spills over the boundary line.
Deliberate. He's been pinged.
He has.
Gee, I'd like to see the replay on that one.
Well, it hadn't even found its way over yet.
Yeah, that's a reactionary call.
Blackberry gathered before that was actually over.
And he's got the skill to kick this too.
So around he comes, makes no mistake. Dylan Riley's the goal kicker.
Yeah, seen him kick many goals across his body like that. He's got great forward craft. We know he's been a very versatile player right throughout his footy career, but a bit stiff there for Monroe, the free kick.
2 free kicks, 2 goals for Launceston, who were 2 straight, leading Lauderdale 1-1-7 in this one.
It'd be interesting to see the replay again, but it certainly looked like it actually hadn't gone out. See, at that point, Blackberry's gathered the footy. They were already calling for deliberate. It hadn't even gone out yet. That's a shocker.
That's a mistake.
That's a poor call.
And not giving the umpires an out, but obviously a big day for them too. They're nervous, they make mistakes, and that was one of them.
So back in the middle, Smith had the advantage with the ruck contest. Bristow onto it in a flash, paddles to himself. Oh, nicely done, evades a couple, off for Harper. Long ball, looking in the direction of right. He brings it down for Denellen. He goes long in the Thorpe direction. Tried the chest mark. At the fall was Thorpe. Just puts it into the path of Riley. Bursts on into it and kicks his second.
Well, it was a great running goal from Riley, but just have a look at the experience here from the coach. Just his ability to stand his ground here. He controls it in the air and just has the presence of mind just to get it going forward. And out of the corner of his eye, Riley ran onto it. They look dangerous at the moment, Launceston. 2 goals already to Riley. Big job for the youngster, Oscar Shaw, but they'll have faith in him.
2 quick ones, Dylan Riley. Launceston 3 straight 18. They lead Lauderdale 1-1-7. Riley, you don't want to set a fire off underneath him because he will torch you. We know that much. Back in the middle now. Lauderdale centre clearance through Smith. Tumbler towards 50. Vandervelde got a hand to it. Gathered cleanly. Fed out a handball. Unable to find the target though. Nice tackle. Almost holding the ball. He was given a long time.
Well, it should have been holding the ball for mine. Well done, Alex Evie. Lucky to get away with that, Miller Hodge.
So they'll have a boundary throw in. Just between wing and right half forward for the Bombers as Smith slaps it forward. Raglione will run onto a loose footy here. Gathers cleanly, gets onto the left boot, sends a low ball towards the goal square. Smith did really well. Boyd came through, was wrapped up in a big tackle. And we'll have a stoppage 5 metres out from the Lauderdale goal. They're searching for their second. So up it goes. Rucks will go at it. Leadham tried to win it down. He went after his own footy, unable to rip it out. Smith tried to bustle on through. Seymour did the business, but his clearing kick only went as far.
Franklin. Fresh hair, I reckon.
It is. He's an important player for mine today. Him and Bill Chambers, I think they need to have really strong games if Lauderdale are to win this. It is a dangerous kick, that one, isn't it, when you hack it back into... and it's still inside the opposition's forward 50.
Matt Franklin will set sail from 45 metres. It never looked in doubt. Raises the finger to the sky. And the Bombers have two. They're 2-1-13. Still trailing Launceston 3 straight 18. We've got a game in our hands early doors, boys.
Yeah, well, both teams would have been pleased. In particular, the kicking for goals being a feature early start of this game, boys, but it was just the clearance kick out of the stoppage there from a Launceston perspective that just went into the dangerous area. And as we often see, teams set up defensively behind the ball so they can keep it in their forward half and in the right place at the right time. Nat Franklin, good finish.
So back in the middle, Lauderdale hit back after 2 quick Riley goals. Smith, he's done this a couple of times already. Smith in the middle, becoming on-baller. Looking for Siggins, Vandervelde with him. He climbs on top of Vandervelde. Did well not to infringe. Came out the side, it was gathered by Hodge. He finds Bristow. Bristow, a little pokey ball, asked a fair bit of the intended target in Boyd. Lucky for Launceston that it was a free given away.
That should be 50.
Heavy jeepers, he's got away with one there, Karanua. He threw that in a different postcode as it's kicked from Boyd, looking for Tyrrell. Hill did well, shields the footy now for Karanua. He's got a fresh haircut for the big occasion. Drops it off for Saunders. Oh, he almost ran out of time. Squeezes out a kick, looking for Heavey. Stays alive. He fists it back, looking for Gilby. Gilby over his head. No one there in red and black. All blue. Dropped off from Bristow. Then to Boyd. Terrific tackle, Alex Heavey. Geez, his pressure's on today. Coming through was Raglione. And out it goes. He's yet to be rewarded, but geez, he's on. Look at this. Alex Heavey bearing down.
That's about as holding the ball as I've ever seen.
Yeah, probably been a little bit unlucky, haven't they, in the first 15 minutes, Lauderdale?
Ball not bouncing away. The decision's not going their way, but they've just got to keep going at it as Smith again, he's dominating the ruck. Drops the footy just as I say that. Probably should have been ping-hoing the ball himself.
Another one.
They're letting it go, aren't they, boys? Which you don't mind if that's going to be...
If it's all day.
Yeah.
Well, we saw it in the game a little earlier on in the TSLW, which myself and Lee Elder called. They let that go. It's much the same here as Franklin gathers, looks at his second, just miscues the kick a touch. There's a whistle. It's going against Ben McGuinness, and Smith early doors has had the better of that matchup.
Yeah, Ben McGuinness has just got to get in front. An earlier call from Rowe, early on in this quarter, he mentioned Jake Smith did really well in another contest, and that's because he was playing in front.
So Smith wanted to get and go. Umpire said no, just go and kick back over the mark. He goes short to Boyd, who goes up the line looking for Brown, but Smith, who, well, there's a free kick. It'll go to Vandervelde. Some holding on off the ball or in the contest from Siggins. So a little lucky here, Launceston. They're just getting the slight rub of the green as the fist comes over the top. It'll go out of bounds right in front of our commentary position. So Launceston 3 straight 18. 5-point advantage here over Lauderdale. Been a good first term so far. Rucks go at it again. Good battle so far. Harper at the fall of the ball. Couldn't take it over. Could Burge. It was Gillow fighting on hands and knees. Walsh went in after it. It came out to Riley, who spun in and out of trouble. Eventually out to Dakin now, who gets Launceston moving. Kick towards half forward. He's spiked out of bounds. So boundary throw in at left half forward for the Blues. Lead this one early doors by 5 points. Looking to add another one here. Dylan Riley, electric early with a couple. when it comes. Thorpe and Smith do the ruck work. Gillow went after it as the ball is just tracked towards the boundary line, and McGuinness will see it over.
So 18 minutes gone in this first term. We've got the start we wanted. Launceston with the advantage as it stands, but Lauderdale probably the lion's share of the contest as it's down from Smith's palm. Gathered by Seymour. He feeds in ball for Denellen. Tackled well by Trupp, who now has the footy and a problem. Wrapped up by Seymour. I think Big Hayden Smith, he's definitely had the better of the matchup to date.
Looks like he's really come to play, doesn't he? He looks fired up.
Absolutely. He lost good position there. Trupp bailed him out with a smother. That may have been a cry for high, but it ended up going the way of Lauderdale with a holding the ball. So it'll be a Bryce Walsh ball. It'll be Jay Blackberry to pass that one back. So where does he head here, Walsh? A lot of flat feet, not a heap of movement for him. He ends up going into the pocket. Just a nudgy ball. It's Oscar Shaw. He's got a fresh do as well. He kicks and switches and finds Raglioni.
I won't lie, Gilly, some of these haircuts have thrown me a little bit.
Absolutely. You come to prepare, you think you're going to see a big curly mop, and then Oscar Shaw's gone the short back and sides. That's not helpful as it's picked up by Tyrrell. Over the top for Dakin. He'll look to keep it alive. He does not, says the umpire. So after a pretty frantic start, both teams have settled in and scoring straight up a touch. As we tick beyond 20 minutes, Smith again with the hit out. Down for Trupp. He has Taylor to contend with. Another stoppage. We expected this when we came to the footy today. We're talking about two really strong contested teams. We expected it to be an arm wrestle at the clinches, and it's Bellchambers who was held. He'll get a free kick. Now this guy could do with a haircut.
He's gone the other way. He's let it grow out.
He's gone the full mop. Hits up Anderton.
You need to worry about hair with this guy.
That's what we like. He goes and finds McManus. So string together a couple of passes here with reasonable ease, Lauderdale. The next kick looking for Saunders, and he screws it back towards 50. It's Gilby who taps over the top. Hill will meet it first with pace. Tracks it towards the boundary. In fact, it's gone over. So a 5-point advantage for Launceston. As the Bombers enter forward 50. Ball to be thrown in. In it comes. Smith down almost for Saunders, and Taylor will bring the Blues out, and he hits up right.
So Wright marks on the outer wing. Comes inboard, interesting old kick looking for Seymour. He had two Bombers to contend with and they won out. Shaw was fantastic. Oh, brilliant from Shaw. Got his kick away in the end and eventually hit a target. That was magnificent in the middle of the ground. Inside they go, Lauderdale. Nice mark taken, Saunders.
Yeah, it's actually Nick Baker in the middle of the ground there that spun out of a couple of tackles. Showed some great poise. It's a high risk sometimes, that kick across, when you're trying to open up one half of the ground. Can't remember the Launceston player that tried that created the turnover.
Nick Baker was magnificent in the middle of the ground there. Eluded three tacklers and set up this shot on goal. Saunders ambles on in, leans back on the kick and nails it.
Yeah, well done Nick Baker, and well done Saunders. He looked lively,
isn't he,
so far in this first quarter. He's often found a little bit of time and space. He's worked pretty hard as that high half forward, and a nice finish.
1 point ball game. Lauderdale 3-1-19. They take the lead. They lead by a solitary point. Launceston 3 straight. Saunders, as you mentioned, has been very lively. Maybe the X factor in this game as the afternoon progresses. My apologies to Nick Baker for calling him Oscar Shaw during such an impressive passage of play. But up we go again as the Rucks go at it, lead and 1 it down with Smith. tried to get the handball out. It was only as far as Bristow. Kicked around the corner towards half forward. Raglioni in a one-on-one. He won the day. He chased the ball out towards the boundary. Franklin was clean. Raglioni kept running, and he just gained some meterage for Lauderdale. Umpire says throw it in.
Much improved player, Raglioni. He played really well in the final late last year. The leading goal kicker, I think, last weekend for Lauderdale with 3. He's got some versatility in his game.
Aussie, you've got something for us?
Yeah, both Mitch Thorpe and Fletcher Seymour coming from the field after that goal, both with a fair bit of blood coming from their mouth and nose, I think. So we'll keep an eye on those two as the game unfolds.
Thanks, mate. As the ball comes back in, Leadham paddles it to himself, runs onto the footy. Bell Chambers interrupts, hands off for Sutton. Now with Burge, has to get it away quickly. Anderton out the back. He is caught in a terrific tackle. He'll come away Launceston's way. Handed over by Paul Freeman. Out now for Dakin. Gives the kick some air. Invites in McGuinness. He brings it to the ground. Killalia now. Off for right. Now with Paul Freeman. The outside dash of Dakin. Back for Paul Freeman. He'll deliver inside 50. The forwards wrestle with the backs. Big punch coming across the top by Shaw, and it'll be mopped up by Raglioni. Squeezes out a kick. A relieving kick to find McGuinness. Onto the wing, finds McManus. They're moving it well today, Lauderdale. That is a brave, dicey ball. It'll work out okay. No, it won't. The bounce just did in. Tyler Martin off now to Kiranua. Looks to shake off Vandervelde. Does. Gets his kick away. Gilby wrestles. Smart play from Gilby, but he can't gather. He soccers. And it's touched over. That had to be a goal.
He did everything right in the initial first contest. Watch this. Works his man under the footy, but it was just a fumble.
Well,
he went with the soccer. It was bizarre, really.
Well, he was in two minds. He was going to go the early soccer, as we see a 50-metre penalty here. Is Joby Harper's made to earn a mark. That might have been Kiranua, the offender. So Harper is marched into the centre square from the Jake Smith kick out. Pulsating stuff from Kilby. Would have been a great finish if he managed to get boot to ball. So here's Brown now for Launceston on centre wing. He'll put them inside 50. Was looking for Riley, unable to take the mark. Trupp comes in for support. His kick beyond defensive 50 is contested. Eventually fell to Smith. Looping handball, was looking for Anderton. He couldn't gather. Brown came through. He was tackled and given a long time. Not sure how he got rid of it. Saunders is there. He's been lively early. Tyrrell is also, as is Bristow. Kick inside 50 is plucked off by McGuinness.
And haven't they missed him? He switches up, finds Baker. That's a dicey handball. Sold McManus into some trouble. Good enough to mop up. He has it again, courtesy of a Baker handball. Over the top from McGuinness to McGuinness. The brothers connect, and the kick comes towards Saunders. Did well to keep his feet and keep the footy rolling Lauderdale's way. Heavey in some trouble now. Oh, he's got a free kick. Maybe a bit of football justice for Heavey. Been a bit stiff earlier on.
He's going to have to think his way through it because Launceston have got one behind the footy. Got two, in fact.
So Heavey. Yeah, they've got Brown and Dakin sitting in the hole. He kicks towards it. Looked like a mark to me for Jack Tuttle, and the umpire agrees.
Yeah, he's got Jared Dakin if he wants to switch the footy.
They've got a few free numbers, Launceston. So Tuttle kicks towards the big clump of numbers out on the wing. Flying was Gillow. Couldn't take the grab. Brown spilt through his fingers. Coming in as Martin for the Bombers. Harper's handball went to Bryce Walsh, and then he smothered to win it back. Got it from his coach. Martin goes for a head ride, and they'll be in the back.
Well done, JB Harper. It was the smother to neutralise and then won the footy.
He's an absolute bull, Joby Harper. Measures a ball towards 50. Almost found its way into Riley's arms. He didn't know too much about it, though. Shaw soccers out of defence. Paul Freeman gathers. Back for Dakin. Time and space to go to work. Measure ball for Tyrrell. Takes the mark. He can hand over if he wanted to. The players kept on running, but he decides to glide on through himself. It was a slips catch that Bell Chambers couldn't gather. McGuinness, rather, with time and space, did well. Found Bell Chambers looking to use his burst of pace. Onto the wing now, it's Siggins and Vandervelde. The latter got a fist to it. Fell for Siggins. Did well to keep his feet. Tyler Martin laid into the side. drops it down for the runners. It was a good soccer from Smith. He's hit that lace out to Dakin, and the Blues are away
50-metre
with
penalty.
a 50-metre penalty. So Jared Dakin will now have a look at the sticks, you'd think.
Didn't pick up what the 50 was for, boys.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. Geez, the umpires are letting it go today.
Oh, it's funny. They're letting it go, and then there's 50-metre penalties for things that we're not sure.
Might have been encroaching. I'm not 100% sure.
Must have been, yeah.
Jared Dakin, kick every bit of 40. Quality player. He just sneaks it home.
Yeah, well, you mentioned him in the opener. Have we got another free kick here off the ball? No. Player went down. Might have been Bryce Walsh, but well done to Jared Dakin. He's found a little bit of space out on his own today, early in this game, as Mitch Thorpe again coming off for the blood rule, but it was a nice finish from him. Good for his confidence. So, Dad was actually drafted to the Sydney Swans, Jared Dakin.
Really?
Former South Launceston player.
Well, he's doing the name proud, young Jared. He's very, very promising young player. He's having an impact so far in this prelim. And he goes on the board with a goal. So we're back in the middle now. Can Lauderdale hit back? Launceston looking to work it out of the middle of the ground. Franklin tried to go through for Lauderdale. He was held onto. So Nat Franklin with the ears lowered this afternoon. We'll get the free kick at the back of the square. So there we are, quarter time, pulsating first term. Great footy from both of these footy clubs. Launceston take a 4-point advantage into the first break. They lead 4 straight 24 to Lauderdale 3-20. Bit of everything that term, boys.
I really enjoyed it. It was a great contest. Gee, it's not much between both teams. You couldn't say either midfielders on top. I think that the pressure from both teams has been prominent and a real key feature. The umpires have let it go. We've called for a few more holding the balls, which haven't been paid. And importantly, from my perspective, both teams taking their chances when they do get an opportunity inside the forward 50. As we look at the highlights here, it's really good awareness from Heavey and a neat finish from Siggins, who has started forward today.
Well, interestingly, we say that it has been let go, and it has in general play, but 3 of Launceston's 4 goals have come from free kicks.
Yeah, this was a stiff one for mine. And
that one, I just think if the umpire sees the replay, he'd be a little horrified that he pinged it,
I don't think he'd be trying to justify it, would he?
And it hurts when a player with the skill of Dylan Riley and the forward craft he's got doesn't need too many opportunities. And that was his second.
I feel like Lauderdale have had the better of the game, but they trail by 4 points. So it's a good sign for the Blues. It can only be a good sign that they haven't really had it on their terms, in my opinion, yet they lead.
Yeah, and you just wonder, the breeze was a little bit swirly at different times. I thought some of the kicks that were coming to the left of screen on our commentary side held up in the wind every now and again, so whether or not the conditions will play a part. But some of the set shots cleared quite nicely, including this one from Nat Franklin.
Interesting first term. We've seen a bit of everything, as we mentioned. Some good in close stuff and some good run from both teams too. Some good kicking for goal as well, especially in the swirly breeze. Mitch Thorpe hasn't quite had the influence.
I reckon
Thorpe
had a goal assist, didn't he, on the second goal to Dylan Riley, but nice finish here from Jared Dakin. I think that was the last goal of the quarter from memory, but I think both teams, in terms of their defensive matchups, would be pretty pleased. Oscar Shaw's had a couple kicked on him from Dylan Riley, not necessarily too much he could have done about those, but I think handed on Blackberry, Lauderdale will be reasonably happy with that one.
So the goal kickers there, Dylan Riley 2, Dakin and Wright with singles for Lauderdale Bombers. 1 apiece for Franklin, Saunders and Siggins.
Jake Smith doing a pretty good job too on Ben McGuinness. Ben playing deep in the goal square, but I thought he might have been a little bit undersized, but he's playing in front, doing the basics really well. And McGuinness just can't quite get into the game at the moment. You'd think Josh McGuinness, the more this game goes on, the better he'll go as he gets some confidence and continuity in his body and his footy. Such a good player with ball in hand.
He is indeed. We'll get the thoughts of Anthony Osborne out of the huddle shortly, but there's a few around that Lauderdale huddle. What do you imagine Darren Winter would be saying? As I said, I feel like they've had it more on their terms, Lauderdale, but they trail in the ball game.
Well, sorry, Brownie, I'll just jump in and say I think he'd be really pleased with that first term. As I mentioned, 3 of those Launceston goals. One came from a horror free kick in the pocket where the ball wasn't actually out of bounds. It was called deliberate. Another one came from a 50-metre penalty. And another one came from a free kick in the first minute of the game against Josh McGuinness. So 3 goals sort of that Lauderdale didn't give up in general play, which I think is what Darren Winter will be pretty happy about. And when they did go forward, they looked dangerous. I like Saunders forward. He was sort of paddling the footy and weaving and trying to assist and laying tackles and that sort of thing. Gilby probably should have had a goal. He got over the back and just missed it with the soccer chance to kick another one for Lauderdale. Siggins has proved a handful up forward early as well. For Lauderdale too. So I think the message would be pretty positive out of the Bombers camp.
Yeah, I just got binoculars on Mitch Thorpe, and he's trying to provide a lot of instruction and direction for his team. He's quite animated at the moment in some of his body language. So, look, we know what's at stake in this game.
He's also got his head
he's come up a couple
strapped.
of times, hasn't he?
So,
the interesting thing, it's been a bit goal for goal, hasn't it, boys? So either team hasn't been able to have a dominance with a period of 10 or so minutes when they're controlling the footy. You think if that happens, and I agree with you, Ro, if one team can sort of get it on the outside and be really brave with their ball movement, they might be able to capitalise, but not much in it at the moment.
There's another X factor as well in this game, and I think it's Hayden Smith. Gilly mentioned it throughout the call. He's trying to rove his own work at times and use his size to just. We know that Launceston have Harper and Seymour and these guys in there. So Smith is another weight class entirely on top of those guys. So if he can start bulldozing his way through, then even the big bulls of Harper, etc., are going to struggle because, as I say, he's just another weight division altogether.
Just quickly, we'll get down to Anthony Osborne. What'd you glean out of the huddles, Anthony?
Yeah, I spent most of my time at the Lauderdale huddle.
Oh, we've lost you there, mate.
Got me there. Yeah, the message from Darren Winter, really just to be watchful, moving the ball inside 50, really citing the blustery conditions down here that have really picked up towards the back end of that quarter, just to be quite watchful, to lower the eyes and hit up target. A few players deep to really go long. And
we've just lost you at the tail end of that, but thank you very much, Anthony Osborne. I got the gist of that. They just wants a bit of composure and hit up those targets. A bit panicky inside forward 50 is what Darren Winter's thoughts are at the quarter-time huddle.
And Launceston, we've seen them really grind out, haven't they? In terms of, there was a game a couple of weeks ago in their second half, they really ran over the top of the ground well and had a strong win. So they would back themselves if they can get their hands in the ball in the hands of some of their prime movers. Seymour, Bristow, Harper, we know, just started to work his way into it, I thought, in the back half of that quarter.
Any matchups at the start of this second term that are taking your eye as the players go to their positions?
No, I think most of the players, we mentioned Trupp on Thorpe. I think Blackberry and the Annan matchup, Lauderdale will be pretty pleased with that one. Potentially Saunders could be a worry for Lauderdale, for Launceston. He looks like he's up and about at the moment. Smith continuing to play on McGuinness. I think he's been pretty well held. And they seem comfortable, Launceston, with Vanderveld on Siggins as we start the second quarter.
So here we go. Game on in a big way here in the prelim final. TSL action, lead him straight out of the middle. Riley burst off the edge of the square. Picks it up, off for Seymour. Caught in a tackle, really good stuff. Not rewarded, McManus.
Hey, we've said that a few times, not rewarded. And we don't mind that if it's consistent throughout the whole game and they don't start paying them deep in the last quarter when the game gets tight.
So Smith out of there, gathered in blue hands through Bristow, swings one inside forward 50, and the goalkeeper is Josh McGuinness, as he often is for this Lauderdale side. Pokey little ball for Trupp.
Just carried.
I've liked the Trupp matchup on Thorpe so far. Thorpe got a hold of Lauderdale last time out, so they've gone with Trupp today, and it's worked so far. Beautiful user of the football, isn't he, Josh McGuinness?
He is.
Finds Shaw. I wish he stuck with that curly locks. It would be easier to pick up as Heavey swings inboard. Edge of the square finds McManus. He's eager to keep moving. He's got the 50. It was Gillow that just encroached, got sucked in by Anderton. So he's trying to keep on moving. That might be a double 50, and it is. Blackberry, well, it was there.
Yep, it was there.
Well, what it was is really smart, wasn't it, from Robbie McManus? He knew exactly what he was doing.
And he was pointing it out too. I'm surprised Blackberry didn't clear the area.
Just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Step to one side. That's all you have to do. So a give-me goal for Robbie McManus. Puts it through. Lauderdale reclaim the lead.
Well, he's been a stalwart now, hasn't he? He's been had the club for, which is probably well over 10 years of TSL footy. Robbie McManus, certainly from his perspective, he'd love to play in another TSL Grand Final, and that's a real bonus to get a goal off half back. And it was the kick from Alex Heavey, which just opened up that side of the ground.
I thought both 50s were there. You can't point the finger at the umpires on that occasion.
It's just frustrating if you're Mitch Thorpe and the Launceston coaching staff. You just don't want to cough up easy goals in a final. You just got to have better awareness of what's going on. And for a player of his experience, Jay Blackberry, you would have thought he would have worked his way through that situation a little bit better.
Bombers back in front. They lead this one by 2 points. We are back in the middle of Bellerive Oval. Lead them one down the tap. Harper went after it. He's got Burge for company. Handball over the shoulder looking for Bristow. He gathered and has Franklin, who just ripped him down by the arm. Great tackle, great stuff. Really enjoying this midfield battle at the moment as the Rucks go at it once more. Smith won it this time. Bristow went through, couldn't gather cleanly. There's that man again, Bryce Walsh. Surprise, surprise. Playing another tackle on Seymour. So up it goes. Clearing kick off the deck from Harper is a pretty good one. Gillow will just chip it over the top almost. McGuinness is claiming the mark. It won't be paid. He plays on by hand to Trupp. They're in a spot of bother here. Now the Bombers. Bill Chambers wrapped up in a big tackle by Gillow, and he's been, well, fortuitously taken high. McGuinness tried to claim the pokey mark that travelled all of 6 metres.
Now he wants to try and get it to Ragliani, I think, but Launceston have cut off the exits.
Yeah, Ragley only had an acre of space on this near side if he had the leg, but he clearly didn't. We're on the outer side now. Harper took a fresh airy. Blackberry came through. Handball off to Harper now. Little kick inside 50 wasn't his finest. Only went as far as Franklin, who cleared defensive 50. Burge couldn't take the mark. Dakin's out there. Clean hands to Blackberry, but the umpire said it had already crossed the boundary line.
He's smart in traffic, isn't he, Jared Dakin?
Stylish too.
Just some real class with ball in hand. Doesn't panic. He's got a nice side step. Creative user.
So the ball in again. Smith and Leadham. Off Leadham's hands, but down for Lauderdale. Franklin, the clearing kick, lands in the arms of Casey Brown. He's an impact player, Casey Brown.
Got some speed, hasn't he?
He does. He has some attributes as he goes long, in the direction of Gillow. Fisted away from him by Josh McGuinness. Well done by Bryce Walsh. Just got rid of his opponent. Now kicking towards Siggins. Siggins patting down. Comes back the other way thanks to Tyrrell and then Brown. And he was looking for Seymour, but arriving was Sutton. So a 2-point lead the way of the Lauderdale Bombers, and a magnificent contest. Came to the footy hoping for pretty much what's unfolded thus far. Ball comes in again. Smith and Leadham. Leadham down. Seymour almost. Going through is Franklin. He was probably tackled without it. In the back, says the umpire. So he'll get a free kick and look to move Lauderdale inside forward 50.
This breeze continues to swirl, doesn't it? We heard from Anthony Osborne in the pre-game that was coming across the ground, blowing from the hill towards the Ricky Ponting stand, east to west. Not having a huge effect on proceedings so far. Lauderdale hold just the 2-point advantage. That's a good kick from Trupp to find Sutton on the outer wing. He's going to kick back inside. He's got a man in the middle of the ground who he finds. So Lauderdale out here. Little kick's a good one to Kerenua. He's going to go to half forward now in the Siggins direction. Waits for it to bounce. Tried to slap it onto McGuinness. He didn't quite get enough purchase on it. Launceston with the numbers. They'll emerge with the footy through power from him. High tumbling ball towards the wing. Well, Bell Chambers just misread it. Gillo came through. He tried to gather clean. He did enough to affect the contest. It was fed out eventually by Shaw. McGuinness just easily balked an opponent, as did Kerenua. He fed off the handball eventually to McGuinness. Inboard now to Bell Chambers, who needs to get rid of it. He rides the tackle. Was lucky it didn't stick. Franklin, Lauderdale messing about with the footy here, and eventually it comes unstuck.
Well, they
starting to get a bit willing. Sorry, Gilly.
They must have a directive to take it on Lauderdale. That's the only thing.
Well, they played around with it by hand, and they were lucky a couple of times, but it was Franklin who was eventually wrapped up by Tyrrell, who takes the free kick, kicks Launceston towards half forward. It's off hands. Dunellen goes in. Ball goes over the boundary line. The Lauderdale crowd finding plenty of voice as they get into it over the boundary line.
Yeah, Mitch Thorpe and Bryce Walsh just in the contest there.
So umpire says, I'll have none of that, and just throws it in immediately. Holt's there for Launceston. He's just rammed off the footy. Dunellen's at ground level. Nobody will get a clean possession out of that. The umpire comes in, blows the whistle and says, I'll have it, please.
So a feisty contest here at Blunston Arena. Grand final spot on the line. Down from Smith. Kicked away from Harper. Sniffing around the footy is McManus. He holds it in. Serious feeling in it. See behind the plate. A lot of pushing and shoving, and I don't think, well, we know these two teams hate each other's guts as it comes down from Leedham, almost for Bryce Walsh. He tries to farm it out, ran out of time. Leedham picks it up. Heavey eyeing it off, went to ground. Tyrrell jumps on top of him, comes out for Taylor, squeezes out a kick. It just goes straight up on the spot, almost from Riley. And it goes again.
There's not a lot of time and space so far with the footy. There's some big body midfielders around when you look at Harper and Bell Chambers,
Anthony
Bristow,
Osborne.
Seymour.
Sorry, Brownie.
Yeah, one of those big body midfielders, Nat Franklin, just taken from the field to cool off a little bit, ruffling Paul Freeman's hair and getting into some extras with Ryan Tyrrell as well.
This play unfolds.
Blackberry might have got a high one. Got it out eventually though. Here's Dunellen. Can he get boots a ball? He couldn't quite. Good tackle laid by McGuinness, who fed off the handball to his namesake in Josh, who kicks beyond defensive 50, but it's out of bounds on the full right in front of the scoreboard, which reads Lauderdale 4-2-26. Launceston 4 straight. So that's interesting. That Franklin just told to come and cool off. It's the kick inside. 50 comes. And that's a good mark taken from Harper.
Yeah, he's really worked his way into the game. At the start of this second quarter. He's the top 10 players in the comp for mine, this man.
Absolutely. He's an absolute star.
Yeah, hard to argue that. Been good for a number of years now. Crewed by injury a couple of seasons back. Looking to strike truly here, and he does exactly that. He kicks Launceston's 5th. Joby Harper's on the board, and the Blues regain the lead.
Yeah, the big body midfielder, but he's a aerobic beast, really, boys. He's always had a great tank, even at junior level. He might have even had a triathlete background. And that's a neat finish, isn't it, there? Launceston, great kicking, 5 straight, 30. This game has just hovered around about a goal margin for 40 minutes now.
It bodes well, doesn't it? Cracking contest. Back in the middle again. What does Lauderdale have in response? Hayden Smith and Leedham prepare themselves for the bounce, and up it goes. Lovely bounce. Neither ruckman got meaningful contact. Coming through now is Walsh. Extracts it out of the middle. A wobbly old ball finds its way to Kerenua. Spills the mark. Able to mop up. Couldn't find a Lauderdale teammate with the hands. He's going to get a free kick though. So I think it was Tyrrell into him afterwards. So Kerenua calling for players to run at the footy. Kicks long inside 50. Martin flies, as does Matt McGuinness.
Gilby, I think.
Gilby, sorry. I thought it was Matt McGuinness for a second, but you're right. It was Gilby, takes the juggling grab.
He's just in front, wasn't he? And the pack sort of collapsed behind him.
So Jacob Gilby. Well, we've seen him do some pretty good things on Blunston Arena in recent years, namely last year in the finals. Can he get Lauderdale back in front? Kick all of 45 metres, gave it absolutely everything, wheels off straight away and puts the Bombers back on top.
Yeah, well, he's always done that really well in terms of finishing. Always like him about 0 to 30 metres out for goal from mine, because he's just got great forward craft. Probably could have kicked another one in the first quarter, couldn't he, boys, where he just socketed off the ground almost accidentally after doing some good body work. But a really nice contested mark, and the trend continues here in this game, goal for goal.
A cracker unfolding here at Bellerive. It is the Tasmanian State League preliminary final. Lauderdale aiming for a third straight grand final berth. Launceston hoping to make it an all-Northern affair against their old rivals, the Northern Bombers. We are back in the middle. Here you go, Lauderdale again. Franklin back on the ground, showed the candy, gave it off to Saunders. He was tackled as he tried to get rid of it. Taylor came sliding through. He'll wrap the footy up and we'll have a stoppage right at the top of the 50 for Lauderdale. They lead this one by just 2 points. Taylor off the pack, swings around, high ball back into the middle of the ground, and underneath it. Bristow was better. Gained the footy, tried to get it out to Thorpe. Falls into Lauderdale hands now, kick towards half forward. It's a Launceston player in power from him who'll get there first. Ball set up for him. He gets boot to ball and kicks towards a contest at half forward. Right, and McGuinness do battle. And it's a 0-0 draw as it goes out of bounds.
Been okay, Matty McGuinness too.
So boundary throw in between wing and right half forward for Launceston. They're 5 straight 30, trail by 2 points. 5-2-32 the Bombers, 13.5 gone second term. Seymour rove the tap. He's not getting away from Bryce Walsh though. In fact, he's been pinged holding the ball.
Gee, of all the ones to be rewarded.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know if he had prior.
He didn't have a lot of prior. So Walsh, short ball needed to be good. It eventually got to Sutton, who gave it back to Walsh, who goes deep into defence. Shaw. He will have the short one over the top to Hill. He gave it back to McGuinness. So Bombers work it out by hands now off half back. McGuinness. What can they conjure here? They've worked this out well. Kick up towards the wing. It's going to eventually find its way out of bounds. Right in front of the Hill. 2 points the margin. Bombers in front.
Just wonder about the breeze a little bit. The kicks are a little bit off, aren't they? We know there's a lot more pressure. Finals footy.
Ball comes in again. Smith down for Franklin. He's getting into the game nicely as Sutton screws it back. Inside forward 50 seconds with a sit. Slipped through his fingers. It was almost there for the Bombers, and Ben McGuinness not quite. And Launceston get out of dodge and they mean business. Here's Holt from the wing. Kicking in the direction of Denellen. Through his fingers. Able to mop up. Collides with Matt McGuinness. Holt again off the right. Really good lunging effort from Baker. Disrupts the kick. Coming across is Riley and the boundary throwing.
Yeah, great call, Gilly. The Nick Baker tackle. Desperate. You could see what Wright was trying to do, and that was hit the top of the goal square. Give his forwards the best possible chance. They're little things that Darren Winter would be wrapped in. Well done, Nick Baker.
Ball to be thrown in, deep forward for Launceston, down from Thorpe, punched away from Saunders, there for Kerenua. He was worked off it, jumps back on the footy, becomes tackler. Be thrown up around the 50 arc. So up it goes again. Thorpe wins the hit out, down for Bristow, manages to squeeze out a kick almost for Denellen. Out the side, here's Saunders. Goes the one-handed pick-up. Was worked off it by Seymour. Franklin breezed through. Back for Saunders. Kersey of Sutton. Long onto the wing, and Smith had to sit.
It's 50.
Yeah, it's
Ill-disciplined stuff from Alex Heavey.
It is for a player of his experience. That's really disappointing as we watch it on the screen. Well done by Smith. I think he's been really strong so far in this game, but
You just wonder why they do it.
That one's just really dumb.
well, they're the things, you know, you don't want to come back at the end of the game and there's a
That's right.
there's a goal in it. You look back and you give your opponent an opportunity.
It played such a big part in costing them a grand final a couple of years ago. I just would have thought
They were out of it by half time, weren't they?
they
that
were.
day?
It's been a bit on both sides today is the funny thing. As Smith now had a good game so far, as Cam Brown said. Kick from 35. He's sprayed that horribly out on the full. So that is the ultimate let-off.
Yeah, huge let-off. Probably the man you'd want the ball in the hands of as a Lauderdale supporter. Probably not someone who kicks a lot of goals. Smith has been so good in defence this season for Launceston Team of the Year, of course, as Walsh tries to burst away. Just dribbles one up the line to Smith, who got the hands off to Saunders. High ball now, looking for Kieran Ewart. Tyrrell worked his man underneath it
He's got to
beautifully.
go.
So man on in the middle of the ground now. Paul Freeman. As the Lauderdale defence just shifts into gear and tries to just clog things up. Eventually Blackberry gets the footy. He finds Harper.
He just worked so hard. I watched him off the ball then. Joby Harper.
Harper has one for the game and one for the term. He's looking relatively confident of adding to this tally.
This will take his best. Lauderdale have got Smith back on the goal line for a bit of coverage.
So Harper, he kicks from just outside 50, improved the angle. It'll get just about all the way there. It's off hands though and through for a minor score. So that's Launceston's first blemish. They moved to 5-1-31, just 1 point in this one. Lauderdale 5-2-32. It's about as good as you want a preliminary final to be.
So Josh McGuinness, a pokey ball into the pocket, finds Trupp. They've closed down the exits again, Cam. Eventually, they find one through Matt McGuinness, who's found a bit of separation. The kick, well, luckily it didn't have to be too good. He measures this one for Baker, who's been industrious. Oh, I've put the mockers on him. He slipped and gone. He had a decent afternoon up until that point, and I shouldn't have said anything.
There's a couple of players that have slipped today. Heavey as well on the wing a little earlier.
Oh, great kick.
Great vision, great kick. Finds Bristow.
Well, it was a smart kick because he couldn't go long. Lauderdale had some guys back.
Drops it off. Jake Smith now from 55. That'll take a monster kick.
I tell you what.
And I tell you what, he nearly got it. The miraculous over the head soccer nearly worked there for the Blues, but Lauderdale get it out. But unfortunately, the screen's set up and it's Boyd. He kicks in ball, looking for Harper, tries the juggler. Now off for Walsh, doesn't get distance on the kick. Asks plenty of Franklin, sits underneath it. All blue around him, falls for Paul Freeman, tries the long range snap. McGuinness.
See the pressing at the moment, Launceston. The Boyd inside 50 kick, it was just a slow kick in the air. He had numbers there.
Just Gilby's out here.
So in it comes. Lauderdale just withstanding the heat. Sutton receives. So every player just about forward of centre. Sutton just sends a high one. It hangs in the breeze and it's almost a really nice mark. In fact, it's been a chop of the arms. It'll be a free kick to go the way of Wright.
He plays a role, this guy, doesn't he? Really like the way he goes about it.
So Wright will put Launceston inside 50, looking for some tall timber. Harper! Too strong. Clunks in front of Siggins.
Yeah, he's the most influential player on the ground for mine at the moment.
So Joby Harper, this is his third shot on goal for the term. He kicked one. This one from a slightly tough angle. The distance will not be a problem. He comes on in, he leaves it very, very skinny. and misses to the near side for a minor score. So another let off for Lauderdale.
Yeah, I agree. They've had probably 4 or 5 minutes of dominance here, Launceston, and they haven't been able to put it on the scoreboard.
They can't get it out of defence, Lauderdale. Blackberry now with a flying shot towards goal. It's off the hands of Gillow, still alive for Launceston. He's tried the miraculous goal.
He can do that,
I
Gillow.
thought he nearly squeezed that through. We'll see
Smart,
again on the
wasn't
replay.
Just instinctive, wasn't it?
He
Bang.
just slapped it on the boot. Just the wrong side of the upright. But Launceston lead it by 2 points. They've done well to wrestle them their way on top of the contest. Matt McGuinness now from full back. Long onto the wing. Siggins! Went for a ride. Took a really nice grab.
Lovely balance, wasn't it?
He kicks onto the wing, looking for Tyler Martin. Couldn't bring it down. Boyd farms over the top. Now it's with Tyrrell. Looking for Seymour, who got good separation there on Walsh, but he's run into Siggins and the boundary line.
Hasn't quite got going, Fletcher Seymour, by his standards.
He's been kept quiet.
He's had Bryce Walsh for company for most of the day.
They need to worry about Harper, who's the one I think at this point as the ball comes in again. Smith down for his runners, but it ends up in the opposing ruckman's hands, whose kick goes nowhere. Squeezes out a little grubber to Launceston. Now it's with Denellen. He burrows into a tackle and he's caught and been pinned. So just hard to 100% understand the interpretation, I'll be honest. As Lauderdale look to bring it out of defence.
So across goal they go. McGuinness safe hands and safe by foot. He hits up the short target in Sutton. He's going to retreat back to Trupp.
They're just trying to open up one side of the ground, aren't they, Lauderdale? They might be out now.
Trupp has a man in the pocket. Gee, I tell you what, Shaw had to really work to take that mark. He only just kept it in, diving over the line. Eventually he did. They're going to come back inside here. McManus, good enough to get it off to Walsh. And gee, they've done this a bit today, Lauderdale. Mucked around with it by hand, and eventually
couldn't possibly be.
It's going to be, it's going to be.
Well, it was the missed target from Oscar Shaw, which created the loose ball. Launceston get another opportunity inside their forward 50.
So another entry to come from the boot of Powerfreeman. Again into a dangerous spot. Harper was there once more. Fell out to the back to McGuinness, who tumbles the ball. It's going to come back in again, though, because Seymour went back and took a brave mark on the chest.
Well, he didn't flinch, did he? That was really brave. He would have known that some players would have been bearing down on him.
You just hear that wind through the mics.
We might get down to Anthony Osborne after this shot on goal, just see what the breeze is doing, because for me it seems like it's been a factor in this term.
So Seymour, to extend the lead, he just puts it up. It's a high ball towards goal. He'll get all the way, but...
Do you reckon they've had 3 or 4 of those just touched on the goal line?
Aussie, what's the breeze doing?
Yeah.
Oz, this one's cut off by Blackberry. The short kick out didn't work. Sorry, Aussie, cut you off.
No, typical Blunston breeze here, guys. Really difficult to judge. A few little wind tunnels that the ball's getting stuck into. I still think it's probably coming across the ground towards us, but I'll have a good look at half time and try and solve the puzzle.
Thanks for that, Aussie. Down on the boundary for us today as the ball comes in again. Smith down to himself. He's tackled.
Really doesn't show it on the scoreboard, but I felt watching it, boys, this is the most period of domination we've had from either side. And I'm talking from a Launceston perspective, but it hasn't been shown on the scoreboard.
Squeezes out the side. Here's Blackberry, just overran the footy. McManus did terrifically well in traffic. Blasts a kick out of there. Flying was Martin. He hasn't managed to get out of the game. That's probably going to be deliberate, you sense.
Yep, good call, Gilly. You'd think, though, from a Lauderdale perspective, if they can absorb this and there's not too much damage done going into half-time, that'll give them some confidence.
So Seymour inside 50 now. Sits up in the air and invites the Flyers. It's fisted down. Cursius Smith. They try and just scrum it forward almost here, Launceston. Keep it locked in their area. Climb on top. Not pretty stuff. Contested Bulls going to work. Here's Gillow. gets his kick away, but it's out on the full. So that's a good result if you're Lauderdale.
Well, we haven't got the benefit of stats, boys, but I reckon Launceston have probably had the last 7 or 8 inside 50s. I can't recall Lauderdale being in there since the
When was the last time?
Gilby goal almost. And
when did it go beyond halfway last time?
So McManus still deep inside defensive 50 for Lauderdale. They might try something on the other side now. McManus has a 2-on-2, but it's going to be Holt getting underneath it. It's going to come in again, you feel here. So short one is on to Riley. He's at right half forward. He's going to go underground. The kick was intended for Thorpe, but it was Raglione getting across and taking a nice defensive mark. So 26 minutes gone in this second term. Lauderdale, you feel, just hanging on here. Ball holds up in the breeze. Hill couldn't take the mark. Nice tap on from Baker, got it to Burge. Chance now for the Bombers as he slaps it forward. Good defensive work from Boyd, who got the handball out. Chance now for the Blues going back the other way. Kick inside 50 now. It's all Bombers. Raglione again.
He's been good, Raglione.
Bit going on behind plate.
So they get it going. Sutton marks on the outer side as players go at it on the near wing. A kick over the top is slightly dangerous to Bell Chambers. The kick was affected in the end. Sutton will lay a tackle. It's going to be all wrapped in on the outer wing.
It was well done by Jake Smith. He took a chance and ran 10 to 15 metres to affect that spoil, neutralise the contest. We get another ball up centre wing.
Up it goes. Leadham just wins the tap down convincingly. Sutton will get there first. He's got Killalea for company. He won the footy and kicked Launceston inside 50. Thorpe takes the mark this time. And when he needs to stand up, he generally does. And he'll have a shot after the siren to try and get a little bit of reward for, as you said, Cam Brown, a period of Launceston domination.
Yeah, I think this would be important for them if the coach can kick this one. We've seen a lot of set shots from over that side of the ground. Some of them just touched on the goal line, but Mitch Thorpe looks a little bit closer. He'll probably kick from around about 45.
So Mitch Thorpe, trusty by foot, trusty in front of goal, sends it on its way. It's across the face and missing. Minor score Launceston, who go into half-time leading this one 5-6-36. 4 points to the good over Lauderdale, 5-2-32. Cracking first half to this preliminary final at Bellerive Oval.
An absolute ripper. It's I think Lauderdale would go in the happier team at half-time despite trailing, and it's funny because at quarter time I thought they'd probably would be a bit filthy because they had the lion's share of the first quarter, but they were, to be honest, they were completely outplayed in that quarter, and they're lucky to still be as close as they are, Cam Brown.
Yeah, well, that's what we felt watching it, and the last 15 or 20 minutes, it was just all Launceston. They continually pumped the ball inside the forward 50. They had a couple of half chances. Maybe the Harper goal would have been an opportunity, his set shot, so they'll probably go in slightly disappointed from a Launceston perspective that they weren't able to make the most of their opportunities. What was it, 1 goal, 6 in the end for that quarter for Launceston, so 7 scoring shots, and to only get the 1 goal, which was from Harper, I thought he was really influential. But from a Lauderdale perspective, the half-back line, guys like Raglione, McGuinness, these sorts of players, they stood firm, I thought, from their perspective, and withstood a fair bit of the barrage that came from Launceston.
Yeah, and credit to Launceston, who, while they didn't get the scoreboard result, as you mentioned, it's tough to lock it in like that and just create repeat chances. You know, I think you said 6, 7, 8 inside 50s in a row. Lauderdale tried everything to try and clear the area and get it out. They tried to work it out by hand, which they got themselves into trouble with a couple of times. Launceston all over them, unable to punish them though. Just the 4-point leaders at half-time as we have a look at the goal kickers, Gilly.
We do indeed. Dylan Riley, the major goal kicker, on the ground with 2 singles to Dakin, Wright, and Harper kicked 1 in that quarter, of course. Franklin, Gilby, McManus, Saunders, and Siggins with singles for the Bombers.
Well, you just wonder, you know, from a Lauderdale perspective, what the message will be from Darren Winter, because I don't think they've played their best footy yet, but they go in just 4 points behind, and if they can start to get the Franklins, the Bell Chambers start winning the ball and flip it on the outside to some of the runners. Still waiting for Ben McGuinness to fire up, boys. You just haven't had the opportunities. So it hasn't been easy for a number of the key forwards today. But you sense if Lauderdale can have the game on their terms for 5 or 10 minutes, that's when they've got to put the foot down and make the most of it on the scoreboard. Unfortunately, from Launceston, they weren't able to do that in the latter stages of that second quarter.
I think that's where Lauderdale would be, I guess, encouraged with the fact that they're so close, because you go through their list and there's so much upside still to be had from a lot of their players. Namely, I think a Bell Chambers, he hasn't been anywhere near his best. Kieran Newer has had flashes but hasn't really been in the ball game. Sam Burge, haven't even noticed him or called his name much. And Ben McGuinness, the big factor for me. Whether you look to maybe bring him up the ground a little bit, get his hands on the footy to try and get him in the game and away from that Jake Smith matchup, that's something that they'd have to consider. Yeah,
I thought Saunders has been pretty lively for them, and Heavey's had his moments. He'll be disappointed with a 50-metre penalty, but it didn't cost them. Oscar Shaw probably quelled Riley in that quarter, so he'd be happy with that. I thought Baker had some nice moments for them at different stages. But, yeah, I agree with you, Gilly. A number of their players are down, so they've certainly got some upside from that perspective. But Launceston, I like the role of Wright plays. He's just really important for them. I think he straightens them up. He makes pretty good decisions with ball in hand. I thought Harper was enormous in that quarter, boys. I thought he really started to stamp his imprimatur on the game, and you just think he's just a bull. His work rate is so strong that he gives himself every opportunity to run his opponents into the ground. But yeah, look, I've really enjoyed the contest. Well done to Jake Smith too. I think he's been excellent across the half-back line and deep as the deepest defender at different stages as well throughout this game.
So a 4-point margin as we sit here at half-time. Launceston lead at 5-6-36, Lauderdale 5-2-32. They weathered a storm in that second term. What do they have for us in the second half? Stay with the live stream action. We'll have a brief break from commentary, but be back with, the ultimate decider to see who will join North Launceston next week in the big dance.
Oh, great kick.
Great vision, great kick. Finds Bristow.
What is this? Some guys back.
Drops it off. Jake Smith now from 55. That'll take a monster kick.
I tell you what.
And I tell you what, he nearly got it. The miraculous over the head soccer nearly worked there for the Blues, but Lenny of Franklin sits underneath it. All blue around him. Falls for Paul Freeman. Tries the long range snap. McGuinness.
See the pressing at the moment.
Sutton just sends a high one. It hangs in the breeze, and it's almost a really nice mark. In fact, it's been a chop of the arms. It'll be a free kick to go the way of. So Wright will put Launceston inside 50, looking for some tall timber. Harper, too strong. Clunks in front of. He comes on in. He leaves it very, very skinny and misses to the near side for a minor score. So another let off for Lauderdale.
Towards goal. It's off the hands of Gillow, still alive for Launceston. He's tried the miraculous goal.
He can do that,
I
Gillow.
thought he nearly squeezed that away on top of the contest. Matt McGuinness now from full back. Long onto the wing. Stiggins! Went for a ride.
Once more, fell out to the back to McGuinness, who tumbles the ball. It's going to come back in again, though, because Seymour went back and took a brave mark on the chest. Extend the lead. He just puts it up. It's a high ball towards goal. He'll get all the way, but...
Do you reckon they've had 3 or 4 of those just touched on the goal line?
Try something on the other side now. McManus has a 2-on-2, but it's going to be Holt getting underneath it. It's going to come in again, you feel here. Riley, he's at right, half forward. He's going to go underground. The kick was intended for Thorpe, but it was Raglione getting across and taking a nice defensive mark. Kilalea for company. He won the footy and kicked Launceston inside 50. Thorpe takes the mark this time. And when he needs Trusty by a foot, Trusty in front of goal, sends it on its way. It's across the face and missing. Minor score Launceston, who will go into half-time.
So back we are for the second half in what has been a pulsating clash to date. And just off there, I posed the question to you both, and I thought, well, let's have it on air. Who is winning this one?
Right now, Launceston are winning by 4 points, if that's what you're asking. But
Yeah, nicely done there, Cam.
At the end, I'm going to go Launceston. Actually, I like the way they fought out that last 10 or 15 minutes. They weren't able to capitalise on the scoreboard, as we said before going to the break, but I just think they might get over the top of Lauderdale late. But gee, it's a massive opportunity as well for both teams, isn't it? And Lauderdale, we know, Ro, they've been in the last 2 grand finals. They get another opportunity again in the next hour of footy to, perhaps, the fact that it is played in Hobart, that gives them another sneaky chance should they get over Launceston today. So you wouldn't think either team is going to give up on the second half of this game.
Yeah, I'm leaning Launceston too, but like 51% to 49% Launceston. Only because that last 10 minutes of that term, you called it really well. That was the biggest period of domination that we've seen in the game so far, and I just think that was more reflective of what might happen in the second term. I'm really keen to know what this breeze is going to end up doing as well, because I felt that maybe the breeze did contribute to Launceston being able to hold it into their forward 50 so well, and Lauderdale struggled to get it out of there. But I don't know, Joby Harper goes forward. Mitch Thorpe's got on the end of a couple as well in that second term. I just think the avenues to goal might be there for Launceston. But I say all this with no great confidence. Lauderdale, fantastic team, and could well end up in their 3rd straight grand final.
Well, you spoke of the breeze, so let's get down to Anthony Osborne and get his assessment. Anthony.
G'day guys, yeah, I've done a Matthew Lloyd. I've pulled the socks up, chucked the grass up in the air, and it is very confusing down here. A couple of times it was going right towards the Church Street end of the ground, a couple of times slightly down to the river end, but I think the prevailing wisdom with this breeze is that it's still coming across to the western side of the ground and just favouring the Church Street end.
Well, there you have it.
So favouring the end that Lauderdale were kicking to last term.
The breeze
slightly
could have well and truly changed in that break as well. We just don't know the way things play out at Blunston.
swirly and fluky.
It is a fluky breeze. What I get from that is that it's not a 5-goal breeze. It's not. So that period of dominance wasn't massively wind assisted. You guys are tipping Launceston. Just quickly, Brownie, before I get your thoughts. I'm going to go Lauderdale just to buck the trend. It's just sort of my modus operandi, as you like to say, Brownie. But I'm gonna go with Lauderdale. Either way, I think this one's going deep.
You just wonder if there's going to be a player that just breaks it open with 5 minutes of magic. Is it a Dylan Riley from a Launceston's perspective? Just 5 minutes of magic where he can kick 2 or 3 kick goals and break it open. Is it a Saunders? Can Siggins have 5 or so minutes? Is it Gilby? Is it Ben McGuinness? There's plenty of players, plenty of talent on either team, but I just get the sense that if one player can get red hot for a period, they might just really go a long way to winning it for their team.
What I don't want to happen is for the outcome to be decided by free kicks or 50-metre penalties, and I just feel whenever Lauderdale take the field, it's always a chance.
It is. You never know. So back in the middle, second half underway. Lovely bounce.
It was.
Lead them down. Smith swats at it. Still there for the 2 rucks. Bristow helps it out to Brown on the wing, and he runs inside, and it'll be a repeat stoppage.
So Bell Chambers back in the middle.
It looks that way. Good call.
I think they need a lift from him too.
I reckon he should have shaved the bonce at at half time rather, as Leadham comes on through. Paddling, looking for Seymour, back for Leadham, over the top for Harper. He's got space, and that's a dangerous thing. Puts it out for the run of Paul Freeman. Just pokes, invites in Blackberry, but it just held up a little too much and let in Anderton.
Hasn't quite been able to find some time and space inside that forward 50 today, Jay Blackberry.
Shout out to Brent Costello, who's watching because he couldn't come to the ground because he's still crying from last night. As the ball comes in, lead him down through the legs of Walsh. Swung in by Seymour, and then Harper. Overrunning it was Thorpe. They just keep it moving. It's a rolling ball. Comes out for Bristow. He slaps it on the
That's
boot. It's worked. Tim Bristow gets the first of the second half, and Lonnie start the second half like they finished the first.
Yeah, they just worked it way forward, didn't they? Leadham was involved, Harper at one point, and then it was just a kick off the ground from Bristow, and then I think he's involved again here. Riley with a hand in there, and it was a really smart finish. A goal out of nothing, really. And I could be wrong, boys, but I reckon this is a game-high 10-point lead.
Wouldn't be far off. Hasn't been out. Certainly hasn't been out beyond 2 goals, that's for sure. It's been hovering around that 4, 5, 6 point mark, but 10 points, I'm happy to go with it, Brownie, as the game-high lead, and it is Launceston that lead this one as Seymour just hitches a ride on the back of a Lauderdale opponent. No free kick given.
I just sense that Lauderdale need a real lift in the midfield, and they're going to be looking to the likes of Walsh, Bell, Chambers, Franklin, just to lift another gear.
So McManus, the tackler, as the ball is kicked high into the middle of the ground. It's a good mark coming back.
Great mark.
So they get things moving immediately. Lauderdale, Anderton, good ball to Burge. You want more from him, Gilly, as you mentioned. Kick inside 50 now, over the head of Kieran Ewer. It was tapped out by Brown, who got it to Smith. He'll tumble one towards a wing for Launceston. A tangle out there on the wing. Gillo emerges with the footy. He releases Pelfrey, and he'll send Launceston inside 50 now. The kick wasn't a great one. Looking for Donnellan. Raglione got there first. He was tackled over the line, and it'll be thrown in.
It was just a half opportunity, wasn't it? Pelfrey didn't quite have the connection then with Donnellan. I think he wasn't sure whether or not to go over the top or if Donnellan was going to double back and give a lead.
So in it comes, Launceston forward 50, Harper to do the ruck work, patted it down, won his own footy, flying shot on goal if anyone could. Not this time, Joby Harper, minus score Launceston, so they move to 6-7, 43, Lauderdale 5-2, 32, 11 points the margin.
So Matt McGuinness from full back, a little ball finds Franklin, and he has a free man in Shaw and uses him. So Shaw not known for his kicking. Needs to just do the simple thing and kick to the numbers, and that's what he does, off Leadham's fist and out. So Joby Harper, without question, the dominant man on the ground to date.
Bit of faith in young Martin, boys. He's the deepest forward at the moment for Lauderdale.
I haven't got him into the game just yet. Harper free at this stoppage, which is a bizarre look given his dominance. Fisted around, Seymour has Walsh for company. You wonder whether they look to change that up maybe and go, well, Walsh, you follow around Harper for the next half an hour. Seymour still seems to be his target. Ball comes in again. Been a good ruck duel. Smith's probably had the better of it. Misses this one. Comes out the back. Franklin first to it. Farms it out. Ball blocked by Dakin. Straight into the interchange benches. So the arm wrestle unfolds. And it comes again. Smith and Leadham. Smith down for the run of Franklin. He fumbled it at the crucial moment. Vandervelde spilled it over the top. Smith got involved again. Gets it out. Baker tries to ride a tackle. So does Walsh. Walsh feeds it inadvertently to Dakin, who's caught in a Siggins tackle. And yet again, it'll be another stoppage.
So Launceston with a player back behind the footy.
Siggins did the ruck work. Got the tap out. Riley was taken really high. You get a free kick. In fact, it's Taylor. Emerges. So Taylor just sends a bit of a nothing ball up the line. Harper's there though. Gets out in front, takes the mark, gets things moving quickly. It's got to be a brave effort going back from McGuinness. Made no mistake.
That was excellent.
Oh, what a kick.
So he's got Saunders out on the outer wing. The kick was a beauty. Released him. Foot race out there now between Saunders and Brown. Saunders won the day. Kick towards 50 now. Was looking for that man in Martin. He goes with the outside of the left boot.
It's just low percentage, isn't it? He had Gilby at the top of the goal square. That's where that kick needed to go.
So there was that man brought into the team today as Smith resumes things from fullback. Kick out in the Harper direction, and why wouldn't you when he's marking the footy like that? He gets things going immediately. Goes for his coach, or goes for Riley in fact. Couldn't take the mark, went to butter up. Couldn't gather at ground level. Through came Bell Chambers. He got it to McGuinness. Handball now to McManus, who just spilt the beans. Gillow came through and affected enough pressure and almost wrenched the ball from his grip. Unable to do so as it bubbles away off the ball. Another stoppage here. Up it goes on centre wing. Broadcast side, it comes out. Blackberry couldn't gather it cleanly. He'll go in again for another crack. Anderton tried to keep it in. It might have been off the foot of Siggins. In fact, it was. So Blackberry will get the free kick.
That's a ripping
Great kick inside, finds Tyrrell. Tyrrell goes inside 50 now for Launceston, looking for Riley,
well
unable
done.
to take the mark. Sutton got the handball off. Through hands now, McGuinness to Raglione. He goes to Trupp. Raglione kept running. Onto his left foot now. Sees something up on a wing. It's Saunders who got a bit of space again, but he had two to contend with as the ball spills out of bounds.
Good result for Lauderdale. Geez, it was a courageous mark from Sutton back there.
Yeah, a couple of times some Lauderdale players would be wrapped with that. Darren Winter, Matty McGuinness was another one who went back with a flight. As you mentioned, Gilly, courageous effort from Sutton. Just feel like Launceston are putting their foot to the pedal here.
It's the ball in again. Siggins having a stint in the ruck. It was down off Leadham's hands. Bristow terrific in traffic. Finds some space. Hill and right. Hill brings it down to the floor. There's a whistle. It's going to go the way of Lauderdale, so it'll be a relieving free kick. You can hear the breeze. It's doing a number here. I'm not sure. Anthony Osborne seemed to think it was going left of screen, which has played out to be the case in this quarter, that's for sure, as Sutton bounds away. Pokey ball. Finds Heavey. Heavey has a free man in McManus. Uses him. Here's a free one wider in McGuinness if he wants. Opts for the corridor. Raglione right in the bullseye. Takes the mark. Kicks out in front of Ben McGuinness. Just couldn't reel it in. Able to mop up. Him and Smith collide. And it tumbles over.
It's actually out the full.
Geez, that's a bad piece of luck. That sums up his day. Smith has just been on him.
He's had a terrific game for mine.
Team of the Year member. He kicks out of defence. Long high ball. Will take some marking. And Alec Wright, the youngster, presents very well. Takes the grab. Next kick. Looking for Dakin. I think he showed that one a little too much. Led in Lauderdale. Gilby inside forward 50 now. Martin the target. He takes the mark. So Tyler Martin, late inclusion today. Hasn't been able to get into the game. This could be his moment.
Yeah, Alec Wright unfortunately just missed the target there. It was smart play by Gilby. He knew he was under pressure, so he just got on his boot, worked the way inside the forward 50, and a nice mark from the late inclusion. And this is his moment right now.
So Tyler Martin will come on in. Left boot. Nice approach, but just tugged it out to the right. A minor score.
So Martin, he's been involved a couple of times this term. Able to do the damage required there, though. It was a good mark. Launceston still inside defensive 50. It's in the hands of Smith. Spoken about his game this afternoon. He's been very good. His short one is a good one. So Taylor, he will just flare things wide to Bristow, who's hemmed in on the boundary, directly underneath that scoreboard. He just eventually plonks it high up towards the wing. Pack will form. Riley was fantastic. He fed out the handball to Holt. He went back in again, farmed out another handball. Launceston away here if they can get some clean disposal. The kick wasn't a great one. Contested footy out on the wing now as it's scrubbed inside Launceston forward 50. Wonderful hands from Thorpe. The kick was affected as Dakin had a flying shot. Shoveled out now. Another chance for the Blues. It's going to bounce and bounce towards goal. It's home!
Blackberry, was it?
Yeah.
Well,
Jay Blackberry, the veteran, rolls one home for Launceston, and they've made their move in this third term. They're out to 7-7-49, Lauderdale 5-4-34, 11 and a half gone. Preliminary final at Bellerive.
Well, he's always known where the goals are, and we mentioned in the first half he just hasn't been able to find some separation. They've rolled him up into the midfield, I think, a little bit more at different stages, particularly when there's been a stoppage, but it was a really smart finish there. Body blow for Lauderdale. This one's out to 15 points in a low-scoring game.
One more goal would make things tricky. So we're in the middle. Siggins in there, as is Saunders. So they've changed up their setup a little bit, Lauderdale, and Saunders gets onto this one. Socket away from Smith. Siggins applies a tackle on Holt. They'll screech it to a halt.
Really, they're just not winning enough of the footy at the moment, Lauderdale. Launceston just getting on top in these clearance situations.
So Siggins takes it straight out of the ruck. Just whacks it on the boot. High one to gather. Vandervelde and Gilby. Neither laid claim to it.
Tell you what, we've watched Vandervelde a lot over the years, boys. He doesn't get beaten too often, does he?
Very competent defender.
Extremely reliable.
So deep forward now for the Bombers. They need the reply as it comes on in. Leadham won the hit out. It keeps mauling the way of Lauderdale right on the edge of the square. We're going to have another stoppage. 13 minutes gone, third quarter.
So Lauderdale trying to take a few people out of this stoppage to create some room.
Leadham put it down. Heavy burst onto it. Couldn't get enough space. Now it's with Martin. He's caught and gone. Just looks a step or two off the pace today, Martin. Now with Bristow. Brings Launceston out of defence. Invites the Flyers. Is brought down by Thorpe. Now with Blackberry. Blackberry gets his kick away. Terrific mark from Riley. Wastes no time. Bounce. A second bounce. Across 50. Goes inside. A third bounce. Bearing down on him is Shaw. It doesn't matter because he bounces it through. What an amazing individual goal. Riley, he got it on the wing and he ran all the way to the square and tumbled through a beauty.
That was a brilliant individual effort. Just watch it here. It was a quick kick from Blackberry.
Look where he gets it.
He takes the mark. He takes on Alex Hill. One bounce. He had no one in front of him. And he drew that player forward. And then a lovely sidestep. And then after running 50, 60 metres to finish off with a goal. Gee, he's been good, really, in a low-scoring game. 3 goals out of 8. I think some of his presenting as well at different stages. He's worked his way up the ground. Some of his hands, his footy awareness in close has been terrific.
Danger here.
Speak of footy awareness, he marked that with his back on centre wing with his back turned to goal.
Yep.
He knew there was nothing ahead, that he had to go, and he did exactly that. Off he went.
One of the goals of the year, no question.
It's an unbelievable
Brilliant
goal.
individual effort.
Tempers flared just after that goal as well there, guys. Mitch Thorpe and Bryce Welsh exchanging pleasantries over the boundary line. The Launceston faithful absolutely giving it to the Lauderdale captain, making their feelings very well known.
Hacked out of the air by Harper towards centre wing. Seymour pounces on it. He's tackled by McManus. Umpire paid advantage. In fact, no, he'll bring it back.
Well, it's a good spot from Aussie because earlier on there was a in that second quarter you saw Bryce Walsh and Mitch Thorpe involved in a bit of a scuffle, so that's obviously continuing a bit.
There is Walsh who sends Lauderdale inside 50. Can they take him up? Kieran Ewers at the fall of the ball. He lost his feet. In they go. Bombers still with a chance here. Heavey tries to work it out. He goes to ground, unable to gather a clean possession. He's been paid a free kick.
Well, this is an enormous kick for them, isn't it?
Has to finish.
They need this.
Yeah, well, Launceston have probably kicked the last 4 or 5, I reckon. What was the last Lauderdale goal? Was it Gilby?
Gilby in that second term.
Robbie McManus also kicked one in that quarter. Gee, this becomes an important kick, Rowe.
Certainly does. So Heavey, a veteran of this Lauderdale team, he'll kick from right on 45. He guides it and it hits the post. It looked home all the way.
It did.
And just faded in the dying embers. It cannons into the post. So this margin remains at 20 points. Bombers 5.5.35. Launceston 8.7.55. Here's Jake Smith. He goes long beyond defensive 50. Looking for Seymour. Unable to take the mark. Through came right. He got the handball off. Taylor missed it. McManus just shoveled it up to Saunders, who went through on the burst and drilled it.
Fantastic finish.
Well, I actually felt like they had to kick the next goal, or this game was getting beyond them. And he's been pretty handy.
One of their best, I reckon.
Right from the word go, I thought he looked lively. He finds some time and space on his left foot, and he kicks a badly needed goal there for Lauderdale to keep them in touch. 14 points the margin.
So Saunders, the man, he hits back for Lauderdale. Gee, they needed that one, Gilly.
Yeah, understatement, isn't it? They probably need the next. So we're back in the middle again. The Bulls to lock horns once more.
They've got Gilby deep. I like that move.
Where's Ben McGuinness? That's the golden question. He's bounced down. They lose both ruckmen. Coming through. Burge, he's clipped high. He'll get a free kick here. And he's a player they'd like to get into the game a little bit more. He had a really good first up final against Glenorchy. Being largely anonymous today. He'll kick long, looking in the direction of Gilby. There's a whistle.
Free kick to Gilby.
It's going to be a Gilby ball.
Yeah, I just... I know I've said it a few times, but I reckon he's just so smart. He drew the free kick then. His opponent just panicked a little bit when he got a bit of separation. And he does this stuff so well. Gee, he's not taking a lot of time though.
Wasting no time, Jacob Gilby starts his approach, twirling the footy. In he comes. Sends it on its way, celebrates, and this game has turned again.
Well, that's what you'd expect from a team with, 40 or 50 minutes away from playing in the grand final. You'd want a response, and that's exactly what they got on that occasion. 2 goals in a couple of minutes. This one's back to 8 points, just when you sense Launceston were making their move, Rowe.
So Launceston got out to a 21-point lead just moments ago. 2 goals to Lauderdale. Just slashes it back to 8 points. Well and truly still game on. Don't go anywhere. We are back in the middle at Bellerive. Who can strike this time? Here comes Franklin. Emerges with the footy. Fires off a handball to Walsh. He'll put Lauderdale inside 50 again. Big fly unable to be taken by Hill. Got off the handball to Sutton. Kick around the corner. Looking for Kieran Newark. Can he hold on? He can't. Through came Gilby. Gathered cleanly. Kieran Newark was there. He was ripped off the footy. That's going to be a free kick. And Lauderdale with a chance to kick 3 in a row.
Yeah, Jacob Gilby's getting into young Tuttle there. Just a little bit over-exuberant. There was a little bit going on after the last goal that Gilby kicked between those 2 players. Sorry, Gilly.
It was panicky.
I thought Alex Hill did really well in the initial play. Didn't complete the mark, but kept it alive for Lauderdale.
This is what they can do though, Lauderdale. They've had a period of about 4 or 5 minutes and the potential to kick 3 goals when they've only kicked 7 for the game. This is what they can do.
So Kieran Newark, such an X factor, an igniter. He didn't like it off the boot. It's across the face. Mark almost taken it, still in play. It'll spill out of bounds. So Kieran Newark with a golden chance just pushes that one across the face. No score, but it is still inside a Lauderdale forward 50.
So in it comes as Lauderdale surge in this 3rd quarter. Siggins has been moved into the ruck and it's worked okay for Lauderdale. Seymour streams away. Rare space for him. Big fist coming over the top from Trupp. And he has had the better of the matchup on Thorpe.
Very good response from Lauderdale. Just the way Launceston, the energy that was created from that Riley goal, they were right on top at that point.
I thought they were dead and buried, if I'm really honest, as Bellchambers sniffs around the footy now. Didn't want that one to go anywhere, if I'm being honest, as we'll see a repeat stoppage on the wing. Siggins and Leadham tapped it out, and again be brought in, courtesy of the boundary umpire. So the arm wrestle continues here at Blunston Arena. 7-5-47, plays 8-7-55. In it comes. Siggins takes it out of the ruck. Farms out a handball. A good one to Baker. Baker long to the pack. Flying was Hill. He couldn't complete the transaction. Butters up with a good tackle. He's gone. Surely right. Play keeps moving. I tell you what, he got away with one there.
Well, let's just watch on the replay. He tries to work his way through traffic, and when you swung around like that...
She had 3 chances to get rid of it.
I reckon that's holding the ball, fellas.
Up it goes again. Siggins out the back was looking for Heavey. Arriving was Vanderveld. He just pops this one up. Baker will fly. Couldn't take the grab. Riley paddles it out. Bristow clever, but into the path of Sutton. He got it to Walsh, who zigzags. Then drives one towards 50. Saunders flies. Down at the full was Josh McGuinness. He gets it to Heavey. Heavey out the back. Siggins now. High handball over the top. Saunders finds space. Kicking deep. Lauderdale with the extra. Hill! He's threatened the last 3 marking contests. He finally does the job on this one, and I got to say, Alex Saunders, bravo.
Yeah, he's been terrific, hasn't he? He's actually, not sure how many inside 50s he's had, but he's had many forays forward. He's kicked the goal, and Alex Hill, an opportunity here for him.
So Alex Hill to cut the margin to just 2 points. Marches on in, a stalwart of the Lauderdale Football Club. Does the job, and we have a 2-point ball game.
Well, the obvious thing to say, but this is the best period of the game for Lauderdale, and most importantly, probably unlike Launceston in the back half of the second quarter, they've been able to put it on the scoreboard with the last 3 goals. We're back to a 2-point game. Gee, it sets it up for an absolutely ripping last quarter, but a big 5 minutes coming up here in terms of the momentum which could be gained going into the 3-quarter time huddle.
A remarkable past 6 or 7 minutes or so here at Bell Reeve. Can you believe it's only 2 points in it? Lauderdale with the last 3 goals. Unbelievable stuff in this preliminary final. Back in the middle. What will this game give us next? Siggins went up in the ruck. Here's Bristow. Fired out a handball. Goes in after it again. Franklin's there for company. Harper's in there too. Franklin goes in again.
I reckon the move of Siggins on ball has been massive.
Yeah, good pick-up. They did that after the Gilby goal, actually, and he's got involved, and Smith looked dangerous down forward as well.
So Smith slaps it to the advantage of a teammate. He's all wrapped up by Seymour, though. We'll have another stoppage. Siggins was brilliant out here on the near side before, in the lead up to that goal, winning it out of the ruck and feeding out the handball. Such a hard matchup. Here he is again. Siggins on the left boot. Gets his Bombers forward. Bouncing ball at half forward. Who can gather it cleanly? Martin came through. He was unable to do so. Dakin was wrapped up in the tackle. Handball's going to be picked off here by Anderton. He manages to eventually gather the footy. Short ball is looking for Hill. Unable to take the mark. Anderton came through again. Gathered the footy. He's got Tut Hill for company. Fed off the handball to Hill. High up and under around the corner. Centering ball. No mark able to be taken. Able to be taken cleanly there. Holt went in after it. He was just worked off the ball. Fell to Martin. Handball came out to Saunders, who was unable to take it cleanly. There's still a chance here, Lauderdale. In it comes again now through Franklin. Who can stand up? Nobody able to take the mark, and it'll spill over for a minor score.
Well, all of a sudden, since the Dylan Riley goal, I don't think Launceston have been in their forward half. 10-minute period of domination now from Lauderdale.
So the ball from full back is poked into the pocket to Dakin, and it, much like in the second quarter for Lauderdale, getting it out of back 50 is hard for Launceston here. Is kicked towards the pack, fisted away by Smith. Raglione with some bounce from the pack, kicking from 50. Raglione! What a goal!
Well, that's got the crowd up and about, and the Lauderdale faithful, they love that. And he's a much improved player for mine, boys. He's seems to get better and better every week. All of a sudden, Lauderdale in front, seemingly from nowhere. But gee, it was a good goal, wasn't it? Just watch it out of the stoppage here. He reads it, he breaks the lines, runs his full 10-15, and then from 50.
That's the
done.
That's the modern day running defender, isn't it? Who can do that?
Yep, he's become a goal kicker. We mentioned he kicked 3 goals last week for them in a losing team. Now suddenly the onus is back on Launceston to respond to this surge from Lauderdale.
So the Bombers have launched into overdrive here. The last 4 goals of this match to hold a 5-point lead. What have Launceston got? Siggins again out of the middle. He'll get Lauderdale to half forward. Heavey unable to trap the footy. Lays a good tackle on Tuthill though. It spills out. It'll go out of bounds.
Well done, Darren Winter. That Siggins move has helped turn this game.
Huge momentum in favour of the Bombers here. Here's Siggins again, slapping it out in the ruck. Tuthill dragged off the kick. Kieran Ewer pounced on it. Releases Sutton. Sutton fires and goals! Lauderdale are unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah, wonderful goal from Reece Sutton. What I liked about this, he took the yardage. At one stage I thought he was going to hit the top of the goal square, but he just runs an extra 5 metres and then just has a great poise and class to kick that goal. Gee, they're up and about, Lauderdale. Isn't it a contrast of the energy that we saw after the Riley goal? And then since then, what do they kick? 5 straight?
They have. And they don't look like stopping anytime soon.
Gee, there's a lot of just niggle off the ball, hasn't there?
The
today?
energy from that Lauderdale crowd seems to be feeding them. They're up and about, and we're back in the middle. Lead them down for the runners. Towing it was Ben McGuinness. He looks to be down back at the moment. Bristow breaks away from the contest. He inside forward 50. There's a free kick off the ball. It's going to be judged downfield.
Yeah, Mitch Thorpe certainly signalling that he wants it downfield.
Gee, that's costly. It's going to be a kick from Denellen as we tick.
The umpire's actually got his notebook out, boys.
It was Ben McGuinness, I think, off the ball.
Wow. Now,
so Denellen,
the left footer,
looking to cut the margin again. Gets a freebie courtesy of a downfield free kick. This to just zap that Lauderdale momentum.
Stem the tide if he can kick this. Tell you what it has been, Rowe, has been a brilliant quarter of TSL footy.
So Denellen will march in. Crosses the paint of 50. He'll kick from about 40 off the left. He tugs it right. It's swinging back, but not enough.
The crowd are really involved in this game, aren't they?
Well, you heard the cheer, and it came from the Lauderdale faithful for the miss. So 10 points. Lauderdale lead this one. Can you believe it? Sutton's lifted.
If you're Lauderdale, you just don't want to cough one up now in this last minute.
He's got Kerenew short if he wants him. You feel he'll go a little bit longer. He does exactly that. Saunders will be in a good position at the back of the pack. There was a player just dragged off the footy by Burge. Kerenew emerges with the footy, gave it off to Franklin. Kick from Burge was, well, a weird one. It just went straight out of bounds on the full. So free kick to be taken here by Brown. So what have Launceston got? That's a ripping kick. Drills Bristow inside. He goes over the top. They look to set something up here. Launceston at the top of the 50. In it'll come. High ball towards the goal mouth. The Flyers will come. Nobody able to take the mark. It will go out of bounds in the left forward pocket.
What a quarter of footy.
It's been brilliant. Loved it.
Certainly had everything. It's had intensity. It's had skill. It's had a 32-point turnaround via the Lauderdale Footy Club, who were challenged. Now it's Launceston's turn to respond. That spike towards the boundary line. Bell Chambers came through, gathered cleanly. He might have got one high. Umpire said no. So another stoppage. Bell Chambers just takes his time to emerge.
Siren must be looming.
Well, we've travelled 31 minutes in this term. Long term, it's had it all. Thorpe And Siggins to the ruck work, but Chambers tough as ever, goes in again. He's trying to work it out. He might be pinged the umpire. He's a little more lenient than that.
A goal would be an absolute killer here for Lauderdale. Just need to get it outside a defensive 50.
So it's a 10-point ball game. The goal would bring it back to within a goal. As Thorpe just tried to slap it forward. Trupp gathered the footy. He's all wrapped up though, and happy to just lock it in and just milk some vital seconds. And there it is, three-quarter time. One of the best quarters of TSL footy you are ever likely to see. Launceston got out to a 21-point advantage before Lauderdale rattled on the next 5 to take a 10-point lead into this final term. Seasons on the line for both clubs. Who will face North Launceston in the big dance next week? I thought it would be Launceston. Now I think it might be Lauderdale.
Well, anybody's guess, really, the way this game has unfolded to date. I thought, and I think you called it the time, Cam Brown, before that Saunders goal, that if they conceded the next one, it was just about curtains for Lauderdale. They looked done, dead and buried, and they sprung to life in such an emphatic way.
They did.
It was quite remarkable to watch.
As we look at the highlights, there's Blackberry goal just there, that are smart. And watch this bit of play here
Goal
from
of the
Dylan
year, I
Riley.
reckon.
I loved it. 2 bounces, and then they just cut back inside. And he's a veteran, but geez, a smart footballer. And he'll have his moments in the last quarter, no doubt. I just wonder whether or not the breeze might have picked up a little bit to the left of the screen. It's a difficult one to try and work out. But then we saw, and this was the important one for mine, Saunders, just to keep them in touch, give them a little bit of belief. Then it was followed up, I think, from a free kick for Jacob Gilby from memory, and he made no mistake. It was just, maybe an unnecessary free kick to give away at that particular point. And then, gee, didn't they kick a couple of ripping goals?
Well, I harped on about it a little bit, and we thought the Smith-Leadham matchup had been pretty even, pretty good up until that quarter. I just thought Sam Siggins' insertion into the middle,
Yeah, I agree.
helped shift the dial.
And they just couldn't, from a Launceston perspective, they just couldn't get it out of their Lauderdale's front half. And then we saw Alex Hill take a strong mark. But I'm not sure what happened there, boys, because it was a 2-on-1 situation. And then the Sutton goal was a ripper, wasn't it? Raglioni, I think, might kick the next one here. That put him in front. But I guess, from the psychological point of view of what the coaches would be saying to their players, if you're Darren Winter, you're just saying we're getting across the ground a lot better than them at the moment. We look fitter, we're stronger. We want to have an opportunity again to get back and meet North Launceston in the grand final. From Launceston, maybe you sell the message that that's their best effort, Lauderdale, and they won't come again.
Just in terms of the quality of finishing in this,
Amazing.
in the term that's just gone by, you saw Saunders, you saw Sutton just there. Raglioni was amazing on the run, and not even mentioning Riley, which is probably the best goal we've seen all year. The skill level in that term was unbelievable. As good as you'll see in this competition, that's for sure, as we have a look at the goal kickers, Gilly.
Yeah, a few extra apart from what's listed on screen, but the majors, Dylan Riley with 3, Jay Blackberry with 2, and Jacob Gilby and Alex Saunders 2 apiece on the Lauderdale side of things. 10 points the margin as we turn for the last quarter. Boy, I'll ask for predictions, but good luck.
Yeah, I guess Lauderdale, because they just the momentum that they had at the end of that term, they were just irresistible. I don't think Richmond would be stopping them. The way they were travelling there, they were just absolutely white hot. It was wonderful to watch. I'm really interested to see. We'll go down to Anthony Osborne in a minute to see what the messages are at three-quarter time, because I'm not sure what Mitch Thorpe would be saying, because they were so on top in the first portion of that term. Their best footy is absolutely good enough. Darren Winter would just be saying whatever it was you did in the second half of that last term, keep doing that. And as you say, that move of Siggins into the ruck, the amount of clearances he won that term, and
Became an extra on-baller, didn't he?
his ability to win it down to himself and feed out a handball or to just get a kick forward. He's so athletic and strong and hard to match up on. An extra on-baller, absolutely. Then they just lifted all over the ground. Sutton, I thought, was good in that term, kicked that wonderful goal. Raglione with that running finish was very good. Trupp's been fantastic on Thorpe. Their work out of defence has been good. Saunders has been electric. They just clicked in the second half of that term, Lauderdale, and Launceston have to find something.
Aussie, what have you got for us?
Yeah, spent a bit of time at both huddles there, Gilly, and as you can imagine, Darren Winter very happy with how his troops are travelling at the moment. Key message from him was really just to keep it going and to really make the most of the momentum when they have it. Jacob Gilby really adamant, telling all the boys that they do not want to go home. As opposed to Launceston, Mitch Thorpe, very cool and composed, but did make a point of signalling out Hamish Leadham, praising his effort, him to focus on shutting down Sam Siggins, especially after the ruck contest when Siggins is doing his best work with the follow-up.
Thanks, Aussie. And, well, I'm not
Fair
surprised.
shout. It's a fair
I'm
shout,
not
isn't it?
surprised because he smashed him. He absolutely smashed him since going on ball, Sam Siggins. And sometimes you can forget how powerful and how much of an asset he is to a team, Sam Siggins. But
He always keeps his feet, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's well balanced. He can find his way, through the outside of the contest too. Post stoppage, post clearance work is really strong. Yeah. So this is set up. No second prize here.
And Hamish Leadham's no mug.
no,
He's a good player and a good ruckman, and he was obliterated in that term.
well, they're sticking with Siggins on ball too.
Why wouldn't you?
You've jumped off. You're off-road, Lonnie.
I think Lauderdale will win now. I'm
All
switching
right.
sides.
I'll stick with him.
Either way, it's going to be
North Lonnie would be.
cracking term.
I'd love the fact that this game would be in the balance right into the last 5 or 6 minutes, and energy levels up and what's required to get to the grand final.
No one being put on ice in this one.
A big g'day to any of the North Launceston boys watching on the stream today. I'm sure there'll be a few tuning in.
See who you're going to face.
Blackberry out. Sorry, Gilly. Blackberry out to the wing. I like that to give him some run and carry.
So midfield matchups, Franklin in there, Bryce Walsh, Phil Bellchambers, Seymour, Bristow and Harper. So the prime movers in at the middle to start the last.
He's had a good final series, Dylan Riley, hasn't he? 11 goals in 3 matches.
So in the middle we go for the decider to determine North Launceston's opponent in the grand final. Terrific bounce. Siggins down. Paddles away. Looking for Burge. Glides by it. Follow-up effort there from Leadham. Farmed out by Smith. It's almost gathered by Ben McGuinness. Eventually is by Gillow. Bristow just gets it away in the nick of time. Looking for Dakin. He was caught. Over the top by Tyrrell. They keep it moving here. The kick comes in from Denellen. Best position favoured Anderton. Gathering the footy was Trupp, and he takes the sanctuary of the boundary line. So 10 points. An early goal would be just what the Blues are after. As in it comes. Thorpe in best position. Ben McGuinness gets a kick out of there, but it's straight in the arms of Blackberry, and not arms you want it in. Raking left foot ball. Looking deep. Raglione had the sit. Oh, he spilled it. He opts not to take the behind. In the end, he has to.
There's a comedy of errors there, wasn't it? The Launceston opponent tripped over.
Raglione just got himself into all sorts of 6s and 7s, but
run it over.
Eventually was lucky enough to concede the behind. So in it comes. Lauderdale looking to just move things beyond 50. Siggins was the target. It will go out of bounds.
The breeze must be doing something
Yeah,
there.
it just carried it over, didn't it?
Yeah. Unpredictable breeze today. Phil for Anthony Osborne on the boundary.
Now this is where we saw Launceston in the second quarter from this side of the ground. They were able to just keep it inside the forward 50 for about 10 or 15 minutes.
So Seymour loads up. Pack will form. That's a good defensive mark. Well, almost taken. The beans were spilled. Gillow emerges with the foot. He tried to just shovel out a handball. Did so eventually. It's all Lauderdale. Walsh goes in after it. He had Harper for company, who went down low. Emerged with the footy. Gave it out to Brown, who gave it off to Palfreyman, who gets around one, gets around two, sends a high ball towards goal.
Just caught on his wrong side.
So let off for Lauderdale.
So the Bombers' defence under a bit of pressure here, but hanging on so far. And it comes again. Kick beyond 50 now. Big fist came from Leadham. Up and down it goes. Karanua gathered the footy and just rode the tackle of Smith, who dumped him into the turf. Have a ball up on the back corner of the square. A couple minutes gone in this final term. Lauderdale 10-6, 66. Launceston 8-9, 57.
Siggins in the ruck again. Brings it down. Seymour with it now. Spinning it inside 50. Anderton with a fist over the top. Coming through was Bristow. Dumped in a good tackle.
There's a good attack on the footy from Bristow, but
Been one of their
tackle
best
as
today,
well.
Bristow. Been very good.
Had a darn good final series, hasn't he? Ball goes up again. Thorpe in front. Anderton sniffing around the footy. Coming out was Gillow. Manages to manufacture a shot, but it's wide for a behind. I did see that, as Chris Rowbottom shows me, that Tom Hawkins handed a one-match ban for those who are wondering. So from full back, it's a big ball from Raglione looking for Siggins, and Leadham had the sit. So they're finding it really hard to get it out of the fence. He's got Casey Brown on in the centre. It was a slow-moving ball. Eventually gets there. Blackberry finds some space. Looks to farm it out to Brown. Loses his footing. Tries to go back to Blackberry. Gets on it. Dives on the footy. Feeds out. Looking for Bristow. There is Franklin. Cool head under pressure. Finds Bryce Walsh. Hill. Big ball to win. Did well. Outworked Vanderveld. Saunders let it slip. Coming through was Hodge. Stylish spin. Delivering inside forward 50. A drop mark from Lauderdale. Probably tackled without it there. Play continues. Trupp gets good position on Thorpe. At the fall, it's all the Bombers. Matt McGuinness now.
Good kick.
We'll find Sutton. They've got the outlet. Quick ball over. We'll find Bellchambers. Bellchambers can go over the top and find Heavey. They can keep on moving. Lauderdale, they've got the one over the top in Karanua. Karanua now. Now he can look for Hill. Oh, he coughs it up and might work out somehow. Squeezes out a ball. There is Hill. Hill now from inside the centre square. Long ball in the Gilby direction. He flies! Gilby! It's been paid.
Wow.
It's a good grab, wasn't it?
Did he hang on?
I wasn't convinced to the naked eye, but Damien Gill was. Yeah, fair enough.
That's a mark.
It's a ripping mark.
That's a mark. Well umpired. Easy to not pay those. So Jacob Gilby. He won a final for him last year. He's kicked 2 this afternoon. Comes on in. 35. Happy with it. And Lauderdale extend their lead. They weathered a storm down the other end, and now they go bang with a counter punch.
Well, it's their biggest lead of the game, 14 points. And is that 6 in a row?
I reckon you're right.
Yep, it is.
So some danger signs now for the travelling team, Launceston. Can they respond? They worked it well out to the fat side, Lauderdale, didn't they? And some neat ball work from, I think, Bellchambers, and Heavey was involved, and Hill.
A 35-point turnaround. Lauderdale with the last 6 goals of this game. They lead by 14 points. Launceston with a mountain to climb, but it's not over yet. Can they work something out of the middle of the ground? Taylor went in. Franklin tackled him.
It's been pretty quiet, Brendan Taylor.
He has.
Haven't called him an awful amount today. Who can stand up for Launceston though? Wrestle back something. Siggins chases up his own work once again. Got it out to Baker, who sent Lauderdale forward. There's been a free kick given. Umpire says play on advantage. Handball was dished off to Karanua. This would be a big, big blow.
Wow.
Henry Karanua drills the goal as they get into it at half back. Lauderdale skip out to a 20-point margin. It is raining Lauderdale goals at Belrive.
7 straight since the Dylan Riley goal. And Smith in some conversations with the umpire, but what's been electric from Lauderdale is some of their finishing in the last 20 minutes or so of this game. They haven't missed.
So what did they trail by? 21 points?
21.
They now lead it by 20. So what a swing for Lauderdale, and this man's been instrumental in it. Siggins dukes it out with Leadham. At the full, there is McManus. Squeezes it out. Baker wins the footy. Nice stuff off for Bryce Walsh. Bryce Walsh inside forward 50. Gilby the target coming across. They shield it. Bouncing ball out of defence now. Sutton in a foot race with Harper. Sutton will gather. He's got no one in red and black around him. Gets the ball out, but it's all the Blues. Over the top from Seymour. He finds right. Squeezy old ball is ugly. Real ugly.
They're into him too.
Oh, Matt McGuinness has gone the old high five to him. Riley was very on. So Josh McGuinness hemmed in the back pocket. His side leads by 20 points. Pokes it up for the pack. Arriving is Siggins. Couldn't bring it down. Dakin at the full. Squeezes out a handball. What the hell was that from Jake Smith? Seymour, they bear down on him. They come from all angles. I wouldn't mind a replay of whatever the hell this was. If you'll watch it again. Jake Smith. Whoa! The big hands over the top as play continues now. Taylor caught by Baker.
Mystic Journeys just run runner-up in the Maccabi Diva.
Jeepers.
To a 90-1 shot.
So up it goes again. Siggins and Leadham. Leadham taps down, but straight to the boundary line. Right in front of us here on the broadcast wing, Darren Winter coaching from the bench. Barking orders. What are we? 9 minutes old in the last quarter of the preliminary final as it comes in again. Siggins takes it straight out of the ruck. Whacks it on the boot. Skittles through to Heavey. Taylor rides a tackle. Heavey paddles it out, but it's all the Blues. Hold off for Hodge. He has to wear a tackle from Burge. He's been pinged. It's a Burge ball. Things are rolling the way of Lauderdale. So Sam Burge, he kicks from inside the square. Long raking ball. Smith got hands to it. Couldn't complete the grab. Dakin coming through. Claimed in a tackle. They keep it locked there, Lauderdale.
20 points the margin, the Bombers. A goal here would probably be the first nail in the coffin if the first nails weren't already driven in. Spills out. Harper comes bustling through. He tried to take on a couple of tacklers. He's gone. And Lauderdale will kick for their 8th straight.
They just can't give this away.
No, they look out on their feet at the moment, Launceston. The last thing they want to do here is give away a 50-metre penalty.
I think it might have been Baker with the tackle, the first tackle, and then the follow-up from Walsh.
So Harper's a bull, but he wasn't breaking the tackles from two fellow Bulls.
Gee, they've responded.
Sam
Some of the leaders.
Siggins comes from the ground and gets a round of applause from the Lauderdale faithful. He's been gigantic today. So Walsh with the free kick. Harper stands the mark. This will be the first nail in the coffin. He leans back on the ball and nails the goal. Lauderdale are going to the big dance.
They might have just got a free kick too.
Yeah, it's against JB Harper.
It's going the way of Bell Chambers.
Bell Chambers is down. Harper came through. And everything's coming up Lauderdale now.
Getting some nice feedback on the stream as well. Apparently we're as biased as Eddie Maguire at commentating the Pies. It's an interesting one.
Well,
giving 2 of the 3 of us tip Launceston, but anyway.
Interesting.
Not as interesting as this moment. Phil Bell Chambers. Well, you talked about just a second ago about driving a nail into the coffin. This would be an absolute nail, you'd think. What are we, 20? Matt,
26.
This would take it to 32 points.
Can't win if he kicks this.
So it'd be a massive mountain to climb if Phil Bell Chambers can do the business from 45 metres out, 40 metres out. In he closes, kick on its way is offline.
Gee, they haven't missed too many.
So if there's a light alive for Launceston, it may be flickering, but it remains on.
Well, that would have been the absolute sealer. But as long as there's time on the clock, who knows? They need to pull something out of the fire here, the Blues. Smith brings it in. He goes straight up the guts. But McGuinness is there to chop it off. Lauderdale will go inside again. In it comes. Big flight at the back.
That's been a good move too, McGuinness into the back half, because he just couldn't get going at all.
I think they switched up him and Alex Hill. And it's been a good move on both ends.
I agree.
So in it comes again. Lauderdale on top of this game. Smith back in the ruck as Siggins has a breather. Coming across was Bill Chambers. He's at the bottom of the pack. 13-7-85. Lauderdale lead Launceston 8-10-58, who led at one stage in the third quarter by 21 points as Bill Chambers rides a couple of tackles, squeezes out a kick. It favours Paul Freeman. He's got Kerr bearing down. Terrific tackle. Comes to McManus. Squeezes out a kick. Comes in board. Harper feeds it out. Onto this one in a flash was Baker. Tries to shake off the tackle. Ends up going to Franklin. And a kick inside.
Oh, good
they
courage.
all fly. Could have been a free kick, and it was.
Yeah, well done.
To Launceston.
It was terrific courage going back with the flight of the footy.
And out they'll come. Out of defence. Long ball. The flyer was Ben McGuinness. Got it down to Robbie McManus. It'll come straight back in. Martin flies for this one. Kerr gets the handball out. Saunders slaps it on the boot. Hill won't get to him. It's taken by Dakin.
Young Holt in the hands of the trainers at the moment. Looks like he's got a lower leg injury. We'll get Aussie to check that one out, but he's coming off.
It might even
two
be
trainers.
Young Boyd.
Boyd, sorry.
As Bill Chambers gets it to Sutton. Sutton back for Bill Chambers. Bill Chambers inside forward 50. Vandervelde, strong fist. Comes to Gilby. Tries to shake off a couple. He's caught. And he's gone. So Launceston standing up right now.
Well, this is their time to go now.
So they need a launch off half back here, and it needs to result in a goal. The kick is too hot for Blackberry. McGuinness came through. The little tap on was brilliant. Oh, wonderful pick-up. This would be it. It hits the post.
He's in career best form for mine.
Raglione.
He's had a blinder.
He can't do anything wrong. Except hit the post.
He flies on through, doesn't he? And that left boot is something to behold, but not on this occasion. Jake Smith knows what he needs to do, and that is send a barrel as far as he can up the guts. But, well, it was touched. Umpire called play on. McManus tried to get things moving. It'll end up in Lauderdale hands anyway. Another kick of half-back's a shocker. It'll end up with Denellen. Let's go Blues. Can they conjure something?
Lauderdale have got some numbers back here, so it's not going to be easy.
Giselle striding back, blue jumpers.
Seymour inside 50. It was required a lot of right. He had two to beat. Eventually it'll end up in black and red hands. And it'll be over for a boundary throw-in. So
at what point does time become the enemy for Launceston?
It's getting there, isn't it?
16 minutes gone. They'd need a goal at least in the next. Well, they need one from this stoppage to say the absolute least. And maybe they'll get one. Bristow roves the pack.
Great call, Rowe.
Wonderful finish, Bristow. Dare I say it? Is there life in the old dog yet?
Well, I hope so. That was a brilliant goal. Just what the doctor ordered for them. So timely, wasn't it? 22 points is the margin, as we mentioned, 16-minute mark. We know they had that burst at the start of the third quarter, but since that Riley goal, they haven't been able to get on the scoreboard for probably around about 30-35 minutes of footy when you take in the back half of the third quarter and the first half of this.
Again, a point you made before, Chris Rowbottom, the finishing today has been something else. That was another really nice finish from Bristow. He's been one of the players of the final series so far. Bounced out. Smith in the middle, Leadham beats him to it. Comes to Franklin. He gets the hands out. Bill Chambers tries to shove off Seymour, who gets it to Hodge. Now with Walsh. He gets it to McManus. McManus back in board to Killalay. He drives inside forward 50.
Good mark.
So here come Launceston.
You can tell he's got back off his mark. He senses the urgency. Has he got the legs in those ageing body of his with this kick?
So Mitch thought the kick will be every bit of 50. He's kicked goals for fun over the journey. This one is as important as they get. Strokes it nicely. Starts out to the left. It was coming back quickly, but it hit the post.
Now, they just got to lock it in now. Get some repeat entries.
This is what they did so well earlier in the game. They locked it in. They were unable to get the advantage on the scoreboard. They need to do that again.
Well,
Seymour with the high fend off.
Oh, stiff for mine.
Look there, I reckon, Brownie.
He's trying to get Lonnie back into it. No.
So Franklin to receive the free kick. He's at right half back. Kick into the middle of the ground. Asked a lot of his teammate in Burge, who had to go searching for it. That's a big tackle coming through.
Is that our man?
That's Leone.
He's actually jumped into the tackle. What's this?
Look at this.
I reckon he actually
He's pounced like a tiger.
That
jumps
was like
into
a cheetah jumping on an antelope in the African savannah.
I've never seen that.
That is wonderful stuff. Stopped him in his tracks, that's for sure. Bill Chambers tries to carve a path out to Bristow, onto that left boot. High boot towards the wing.
Good mark.
McGuinness got underneath it. Didn't flinch.
They just need to take a bit of time off the clock. I don't mind this. Just keep it in your hands. Control the footy. Take 2 or 3 minutes off the clock if you can. Makes it really hard for Launceston.
So McGuinness to Siggins to McGuinness. Now it's Anderson out wide.
He's gone down.
He might have a bit of cramp.
Just professionally taking a bit of time off the clock. Oh no, maybe he is. Hope he's okay.
He's carrying on. If he's got a bit of cramp, he might be milking it. But trainer rushes to the rescue.
Yeah, he's trying to massage his lower left leg. We know he's had some injuries.
Anthony Osborne's on the boundary.
Yeah, Jacob Boyd, boys, just doing a couple of run-throughs. Left knee has been taped up, but he looks to be okay, so hopefully we get to see him again before the game's out.
So play resumes, off half back. Lauderdale, that's a nice mark taken by Baker.
He's had a good game, I reckon, Baker.
So Baker send Lauderdale inside 50 again. A goal here would be the absolute final nail that cancel out the Bristow effort from a few minutes ago. Hill tries to lay the tackle. Saunders tries to push it forward. He might not have had it. Umpire said no. There's a free kick going Launceston's way.
So if you're Lauderdale, you just want to cut off the corridor options from Launceston, force them to go wide.
So Tyrrell gets things moving straight up the middle of the ground wisely. Can only be taken. McGuinness laid the tackle. It was just slapped forward by Siggins, who's been magnificent today. Franklin kicks towards half forward as it eludes both Heavey and Tudhill over the line.
They're running out of time now, Brownie.
Time is now a factor.
It is. Particularly, it's in the wrong end of the ground from the Launceston perspective.
So Siggins back in the ruck against Leadham. Brings it down at the fall. Sutton. He's claimed in a tackle. In fact, it was Franklin. So up it goes again. Leadham slaps down. Seymour onto it in a flash. Baker's onto him and not letting him move an inch. 13-8-86. Lauderdale have swung this game into their keeping. Can they hold on from here? Leadham tries the one out of the air and Sutton comes across. And it's either out in the 4 or his mark. So it's Sutton's ball. Right in front of the hill, sun-drenched Blunston Arena. Perfect day for footy, and what a game we've got. Long and strong, looking in the Martin direction. He flies, brings it to the ground, squeezing out a kick. Nicely was Hodge. Now with Taylor, he'll go into the corridor. Halts his target, takes on a couple. McGuinness has got him. He has to go back. Bristow there to mop up. Bristow now has the outlet kick in Dakin. Almost closed down by Gilby, not quite. Dakin, McGuinness across. Very good fist. Down for Killalay. He looks inside forward 50. Absolutely perfect little chiseling kick on the chest of Riley. And he's the type of player They need to fire if they're any hope from here, Launceston.
I thought he was a little bit worried about the distance. He seemed to be looking inboard. This will take his best.
So Riley, the kick will be just inside the arc. He goes out to the right just to get the right contact. Jeez, he's nearly done that perfectly.
She's having had a lot of luck. They've hit the post twice in this
posters.
last quarter.
That was almost a magnificent finish, and it would have been his fourth.
What a final series he's had.
So Launceston will be wondering what could have been the width of the upright, denying them on 2 occasions now, but they'll get another shot here as the Raglione kick sails out of bounds on the full. We are 23 minutes gone. It is still 20 points, so they need to kick 4 goals in quick succession. We saw Lauderdale do it, to be fair. The first of them will need to come here. High ball inside 50. Seymour's at the base of the pack. Seymour fires on goal. It's across the face.
Well, they have come hard, Launceston, in the last 5 or 10 minutes. They just haven't been able to capitalise with some goals.
Well, they've had more scoring shots, Brownie, across the day.
Potentially that second quarter might be one they look back on.
19 points the margin now. Big fist back inside 50, only as far as Bryce Walsh, who's been a battler all day. Out it comes. His Boyd is back on the ground, which is good to see. He does battle. It's a high tackle.
Now.
So he'll get it moving as quickly as he possibly can. His kick isn't a great one. He wanted Donnell, and it spills down to Holt, who's been okay today. It will spill out of bounds in front of the scoreboard, which says that 24 minutes is now ticked by, and Lauderdale still hold a 19-point lead.
They're in a good position, but Launceston quality side, never give in, keep on trying. Siggins over the top, brings it down to the floor. There is Bill Chambers going to work. Jumping in with Seymour, he was held. He'll get a free kick.
Free kick, he'll wheel and go here. Time is of the essence.
Pokey little ball over the top, shows a bit of it to Sutton. Comes in and interrupts Bristow. Good enough to get the ball out. High one from Leadham. Inside, invites the Flyers. Ben McGuinness was one of those. Got it to the floor. Brown gave it to Harper. He's caught. Somehow gets out of it, and his kick comes to Josh McGuinness. Now with Trupp. A weird old tumbler. Falls to Holt. Holt a flying shot. Matt McGuinness takes a mark on the last line. So they've made them sweat here, Launceston. But they can't get it through the big sticks as it comes long from Matt McGuinness. Siggins will fly. That's ambitious. That'll go against him. They want to play on.
Got to come back.
Probably had 7 or 8 inside 50s here in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
We're beyond 25 minutes as Leadham goes long to the square. The Flyers arrive. Matt McGuinness. Killer! He's poked it through. The pulse is still there for Launceston.
You can't deny their effort.
13 points.
Lauderdale skipped out. What was the game high for them? It was close
26 points, I reckon. Something around that mark. They
27 it was.
27, that's it.
right. It was a Bill Chambers goal that would have put it beyond the kick side that would have put it beyond it. But so well done from the Launceston perspective to fight this game right out. To give them a bit of belief, they almost need a goal from this centre clearance, I would have thought.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm putting my Launceston cap on from this centre bounce. A Blues goal straight out of the middle to set up a grandstand finish. It falls the Blues' way. Off the tap. Thorpe gets there. He couldn't track it. Taylor comes on through. Handball inside 50. Killalea again. Kick towards goal. It's over the top. Can they get a boot to it? Brown! Oh.
Raglione again. Massive.
Brown almost with the toe poke on the last line. That would have been huge.
It's a big point, though, isn't it?
It is a big point.
It's just going to go
so
far and wide.
Has to go as long as it possibly can. Big mark taken by Boyd. Gets things moving immediately. He's got a man free inside 50, and it's Harper.
Wow. Does he go to Pfeifferman? He's got him
How
free.
long is left is the golden question.
27 minutes gone. Harper's going to kick from just inside 50.
Bang.
It looks like he's drilled it at 6 points the margin.
Wow.
I actually think there's a bit of time left. I think this one will go for another 3 minutes.
There's a goal in it. It's 11-14, 80 Launceston. They trail by just 6 points, 13-8, Lauderdale, 27 gone.
Brilliant game of footy.
Huge.
Great exhibition of TSL of the highest standard. And a credit to both clubs, because at different stages, either team has looked out of this contest potentially one goal either way.
Could we see extra time?
Well, yes, I hope so. I'd love it if we did.
As I see Ben Ling, the operations manager, go and look at the rule book. Now with Bell Chambers out of the middle, long raking ball. Gilby not in best position. It bounces for him. Gilby looks at the sticks. He can ice it.
Handy point.
It is a
handy point.
I think he had more time than he thought. Again, his ability to keep his feet. So they're going to go up the middle of the ground. There's no doubt about that.
So 28 minutes have ticked by in this ball game. Jake Smith with a torpedo. He's got onto it. Big pack form. Siggins fist down. The ball rolls away of the Blues. Josh McGuinness loses it. Casey Brown runs away. He's taken beyond his full measure. He's gone. You like that he took it on. He had to.
I agree. The intent was terrific, but how's the tackle?
Beautiful tackle from Trupp.
That was the kick out of full back just quietly.
He got on, he uncorked a genie, Jake Smith. Long ball out onto the wing now.
You know, if you're a supporter and connected with either of these two teams, you've got to be proud of the effort of the 44 players that have taken to the field today.
What a game of football. The best game we've seen all year on almost the biggest stage all year. As it comes in again. Siggins down for the runners. Breezing on through was Seymour. Drops it off, handed and interrupted. Coming in as Burge, just bullets his way through a couple. Loses the footy. Now with Walsh. Throws it on the boot. Martin to arrive. The late inclusion takes an important grab. There's the siren! Lauderdale are through to their third straight grand final in an absolute thriller at Launceston Arena.
Well, what a game of footy. Credit to Lauderdale. We mentioned the Riley goal early on in the third quarter, and then I think they slammed 8 in a row. And a great response in the last 10 or 15 minutes for Lauderdale, just when you thought it was beyond them. Potentially they had a chance with Casey Brown. Took it on. You can't argue with the intent there, but a fantastic game of footy. Loved every minute, but it was tight. Both teams got out beyond 4 goals. In the end, we've ended up with not much in it. 7-point margin, 25 scoring shots to 22, boys. But what an advertisement for the product of TSL footy.
Almost as remarkable as the Lauderdale turnaround was the finish with Launceston kicking, I think, the last 3 of the game.
Yep.
To almost snatch it from nowhere. They were dead and buried with 5 minutes left. And it's finished as a 7-point margin. Lauderdale go through. They were down by 21 points. They led by 27 points and they win by 7. A better game of footy you will not see.
Amazing game of football.
What we do get, boys, this time next week, what is it, the 3rd year in a row, Lauderdale and North Launceston have played. I think it might have happened in the 70s, 4 times in a row, Glenorchy and Sandy Bay, but it doesn't happen too often, 2 teams.
Well, that's as good as Lauderdale have been in quite some time.
Yeah, and that's where they're dangerous, isn't it? They're best when they're up and about. They can really surge and kick goals, and that's what they did 8 in a row, we mentioned. And potentially that game was getting beyond them, but a great response from some of their leaders. You mentioned Siggins as the move. I thought Smith forward as well. They flip-flopped it around with Hill and McGuinness. And it was probably desperate times, and some of their boys just really lifted. Their accuracy for goal certainly helped them out. I thought Raglione had another strong game. He continues to get better and better. So they get a chance next week, and it's down south, and that hasn't happened the last 2 times.
And as we just saw on screen, the replay of that giveaway goal after Bryce Walsh goal, and then Phil Bell Chambers, I think, was felled.
Yep. Yeah, against Joby Harper. But, I mean, a word on Launceston boys too. It'd be remiss of us not to mention their efforts today. Coming from outside the top 3, they're a young team, and although they'd be bitterly disappointed and they'd look back and think we had the opportunity to be playing in a TSL Grand Final. From a young team, there's a lot to like about them for next year. I thought they were really courageous today, and they should be pretty proud, as should both teams. Congratulations to Lauderdale, but
cheered off.
An excellent effort as well from Launceston.
Oh, it's one of those games where neither team deserved to lose. No question about it.
I love the fact that Lauderdale are responding to the supporters, because we certainly felt it, didn't we? Yeah. Halfway through that third quarter, there was a real lift, wasn't there? The Raglione goal, they got right behind it, then Sutton, and I reckon they fed off that energy, right?
Oh, they absolutely did, no doubt about it. And Lauderdale have probably one of the most passionate supporter bases in the entire competition. They travel, the Lauderdale fans, and they make probably the most noise out of any of the fans too, and they were certainly in full song this afternoon. And you're right, they were a 23rd player. They played a part, the Lauderdale crowd, and helped their team over the line in, as I say, one of the best games of footy, TSL footy.
One of the best games of footy I've seen in a long time.
It was unbelievable.
Have we turned it around on the stream? I just think we've been saying that for a few weeks now. We've had some good games.
This one makes up for about 10 beltings.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We're still well behind, for what it's worth. But, it sets it up for an absolute ripper next week. North Launceston, they'll be travelling, but that won't worry them too much. They've just had so much experience, and what a credit to them to get to another grand final. And haven't they topped up with some great recruits that's added to their playing group this year? But Lauderdale, they're getting another opportunity. Excited about it already, boys. What is in store for this time next week?
Yeah, it's interesting because either way you had an interesting storyline going into next week. If Launceston had won, you'd have the All-Northern final being played in Hobart.
First time since 83, I think it would have been.
First time since 83 for an All-Launceston final, which would have just been something magnificent for Tasmanian footy. But the other side of the coin is the third crack of Lauderdale North Launceston, this great rivalry that's developed over the last few years, and you feel that maybe this year is Lauderdale's best chance to get the silverware, because North Launceston have been so dominant.
Obviously North Launceston got a good win over Lauderdale last week, but it did come at a cost. Alex Lee was injured. They'd say he's no chance for the grand final. Van Buren injured. Some chance, but unlikely. So they're about as ripe for the picking as they're going to be.
Well, we've been saying it for a while, haven't they? That potentially this is their year. You can't underestimate North Launceston, but gee, that last quarter and a half, they'd be probably disappointed, the last 10 minutes of that quarter, because Launceston, willed their way back into the game, but they'd be excited. And the fact that it's playing in this, the fact that it is played down south, you would think Darren Winter's got to use that a little bit in some of the psychological mindset that will try and get some positivity in his players.
So they're the goal kickers. Dylan Riley, he was fantastic, wasn't he? 3 goals, one of them the goal of the year. I'm willing to put it out there. Jay Blackberry with 2. Tim Bristow and Joby Harper, they both had massive moments, particularly late, both kicking big goals to give them life when it seemed like it was all lost. And Jacob Gilby had a really good afternoon.
He was important, wasn't he? And look, I think to win next week, I reckon they need 3 or 4 for him as well. And he's just so dangerous close to goal. Really smart player.
Loved Alex Saunders' game. I thought he was terrific.
Right from the word go, agree.
And winners across the board. I guess better players. How do you see it overall, Brownie? It was an interesting game because players came in and out of things and big periods of momentum shifts, and it was a hard one, but there were some big players from both teams. Yeah,
there were. I thought Sigan's second half in particular was excellent. Hayden Smith tried hard in the ruck. I thought it was a good battle with Leadham. You mentioned Saunders, Heavey. Certainly had his moments throughout the midfield. I thought Baker had some really important touches at different stages. Anderton, in fairness, did a really good job on Blackberry. He got away from it at one point when he kicked a goal. And I thought the skipper really lifted when he needed to. Bryce Walsh and Nat Franklin. I thought Josh McGuinness, to me, that's a bonus about this next week, Ro. He gets a game under his belt. Matty McGuinness, I thought, was pretty solid down back. So and they've still got some upside because Ben McGuinness is a player that was down today, but you'd expect him, to bounce back next week from a Launceston perspective. You mentioned Riley. I thought he tried really hard throughout the game. probably went out of a little bit Joby Harper in that period when Launceston just fell away. I thought he was terrific. Casey Brown had some moments for them. Bristow plays well each and every week for them, doesn't he? So look, they'll be disappointed because they would have thought this is potentially one that they could have gone on and won and given themselves an opportunity. But they're a young side, and you sense the demographic of their list should set them up pretty well. But I thought Jake Smith was excellent for Launceston.
Similar to the theme of the game, I suppose. I thought Joby Harper was the player of the first half, and I thought Sam Siggins was the player of the second half. And that probably look at that from Raglione. That is something you see.
More bizarre images.
You need David Attenborough commentating that, I think. That's rather than us. That's something you'd see on the plains of the savannah. But I thought he was really good too, actually, Raglione. I thought he had a spell to magnificent.
I think he's in career best form. We've mentioned him throughout the call, and he's just really he's become a lot more composed, I reckon, with the ball, and offensively he gives them plenty of run, but he's becoming more dependable in that back half.
So a nail-biting win from Lauderdale in a game that seesawed all over the place. It was an absolute pleasure to call. We hope you enjoyed our coverage. We'll be back next week with a big dance, the All Bomber affair, North Launceston up against Lauderdale. We hope you enjoyed the coverage, as I said. Bye for now.